Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, we are up today. Episode number what? Let me see what episode we're at. What number is this, Rob? Can you tell me? It's a 435.
PBD, we're 435.
435. Let me turn this up on the back end. All right, so we're learning how to do this Zoom thing. Folks, we are obviously not all in the same place. Okay, Adam is at the Valuetainment headquarters in Dubai. And Vinny are where the rich hang out at Country Club. Vinny's, Tom even talks in a different way right now. Tom, can you say hello to everybody?
Greetings. The Hamptons are wonderful this time of year. It's just wonderful.
Pat, can I say something really fast? Tom looks like he's all proper and everything. Tom, show them your pants real quick.
Oh, well, I'm only half on vacation, folks.
Unbelievable. Tom, I gotta see those tidy whities, brother. I gotta see it.
No. These are dad swim trunks. It's all cool.
Yeah, they're good.
Tom, we do not need a Jeffrey Toobin moment on this podcast, please.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
And you won't get one.
Okay. All right. So let's go through it. So we got a lot of stories to go through. Let me see what I got here. So few stories that we got. First of all, Trump distanced himself from a Project 2025, which you'll hear what that's all about from Hillsdale College. We'll comment on that. All these billionaires in Hollywood are upset at Biden. A lot of people are upset at Katzenberg, saying, why did you convince us that this guy was ready and ready to go run for office, and we're giving all this money to you? A lot of furious people, many billionaires specifically. The job market is interesting right now. Half Americans are skipping summer vacation right now due to financial challenges. Trump even leads Kamala right now in the race. 2/3 of Americans are falling behind in their bills. 206,000 jobs report came back. Unemployment, the highest it's been since 2021. We got a couple updates came up about Andrew Tate. We'll respond to that. The average wedding today is $30,000. When I saw that article, I said, there's no way that's the average wedding for a Middle Eastern. That's the average American wedding. Vinny, just want to let you know, you can probably save $170,000 if you marry an American versus a Middle Eastern. I can say that. But so, Vinny, this is, when you read this article, this doesn't apply to everybody.
Got it.
This American average wedding, $30,000. Tom is celebrating because he's got 2 daughters. He knows he only has to spend $30,000 there. It's a big savings. California is issuing a personal finance course. Now they want to start teaching high schoolers how money works. Another decent policy for California. Insider says this is the happiest the world's ever been. Pro-Palestine protesters burning American flags. Vinny's got some thoughts on that. The rest of us do as well. Possibly a Hamas ceasefire agreement. We'll talk about that. Patriot Front found again out there going around doing what they're doing. And everybody's saying these guys are the feds. They're the feds. They're the feds. We'll give you an inside scoop because the founder was on the podcast. I interviewed him. We'll show you a couple different clips about what he really believes in based on the interview that we did. Novak Djokovic wins Wimbledon. And then yesterday gives a speech afterwards. Vinny was sharing this with us. We'll react to that video. Vinny's favorite person, Corinne Jean-Pierre, who asked about Parkinson's. The fact that the doctor visited the White House, how many times, Vinny? 11 times?
Like multiple times, repeatedly, they said in the past few months. So it's obviously clear what's happening. And, they're still in denial, but the press corps is they're starting to talk finally.
And then obviously another one of these people that most of you guys are not there to see Vinny's office. Vinny has a poster of Corinne Jean-Pierre on the wall, and Vinny has a poster of Whoopi. And when she was younger, he's got a poster of Whoopi. The level of attraction he has for Whoopi is on a whole different level. She made some comments about Biden and poop. She says, I step on poop all the time. It's not like it's a big deal. What's wrong with that, right? Anyways, you have to hear this. And then Mayor of Brighton, England, if you look at the city of Brighton, England, it looks like Tehran. It's a very different situation, which will kind of show you that. And then Ryan Garcia said a few words, suspended. We'll talk there. Radio host fired because of feeding questions to Biden. And like, no, that didn't happen. You got to kind of hear this one. And then 5 predictions, which I think is kind of interesting. In a new book about by a Google Futurist, what he thinks the future is going to look like. And last but not least, we have to talk about the VP, Trump's VP. He said he's announcing it this week, claims maybe next week. And we know the RNC is around the corner, so we'll see what happened there. But before we get into the entire podcast, gang, we have a special announcement to be making about the next live event that we have coming up. The next live event, PBD Podcast live event, will be August 2nd at 5990 from 5 to 10 o'clock. Okay, and the reason why it's 5 hours and it's Friday night is for a special reason. And these tickets will sell out ASAP, especially the VIPs are going to go like this. You'll see here in a second. For about 4.5 years, I've been knowing about a movie that's coming out. It's a Reagan movie, story of Ronald Reagan, played by Dennis Quaid. The movie comes out August 30th. Those who attend August 2nd in our studio with Dennis Quaid, we're going to watch the movie of Reagan. Then after the movie is done, you'll see it before the world sees it. It'll be a premiere. And then right after the movie is done, there'll be a 30-minute break. Everybody will go do their things, maybe grab a drink, maybe grab something to eat. Then you come back, and then we do a 2-hour podcast with Dennis Quaid right there to talk about Reagan, America, a lot of different. It's going to be a very unique type of a show. And if you guys want to be a part of it, there's the link. Go get registered, buy your tickets, come to it. You'll see it before anybody else, a month before the world sees it. And again, this is one of those anticipated movies that a lot of people want to see Ronald Reagan being a hero to many different people. But go to the QR code or go to 5990live.com, the number 5990live.com. Purchase your tickets. I think VIPs are going to go for $500, then $250, then $100. You want to be in that room, period. Come with your family, come with your friends, come with your kids. My son will be there to watch this movie together with us. And then afterwards, we'll have a conversation with Dennis Quaid. All right, so there you have it. So that's that. Now, let's get right into it with different topics. I say we start off with a topic here that I think is something a lot of people are thinking about. Let me see if I have it here, Rob. Is this the one? Maybe I have my notes here. I don't know what just happened. It disappeared on my notes here that I had. Rob, can you do me a favor and maybe on your computer, go to the notes about, what do you call it? Go to the notes about Trump and his VP pick. If you can go to it. It's not doing it to me on my iPad. Oh, there you go. I found it. Hang on one second. Okay, Trump VP pick is on page. There it is. The plane is ready. The fundraisers are booked. Trump's VP search comes down to its final days. Trump's VP search comes down to its final days. And everybody's sitting there saying, who is it going to be? So let me kind of read this to you. Former President Donald Trump is set to announce his VP pick soon. The fundraisers planned and an empty spot on its fuselage of the plane ready for the name decal. Trump stated, I haven't made a final decision, but I have some ideas as where we're going. Trump has 2 rallies this week, one in Doral, Florida, where Florida Senator Marco Rubio, a top contender, will attend, and another in Pennsylvania near Ohio, home to J.D. Vance, and another potential pick, which is Doug Burgum, is also on the short list. And Trump mentioned the announcement could come probably a little before the convention, but not much. Top contenders like Rubio, Vance have indicated they are unaware of Trump's final decision. Rubio stated, I hear nothing, I heard nothing, I know nothing, while Vance said, I have not gotten the call. Lindsey Graham continues to push Senator Tim Scott, arguing he would add value in 2024 and help expand the map. Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think Trump is being Trump, and he's very clever. He knows what he's doing with his campaign. We've seen sort of waves, right? There have been waves of candidates. There was rumors about a congressman from New York, from the 1st District, where we're sitting right now, and who ran for governor. He was on there. And I think what Trump is looking at, he's looking at the map, he's looking at the US voter, and he's also looking at team. Team is very important to him. And it doesn't surprise me that JD Vance and then Doug Burgum makes a comeback. Doug is fantastic on energy policy. I mean, I'm a big fan. I don't know if he's the national pick, probably more like a Vance, but I would not be surprised to see Trump come back with a Vivek or a Tulsi. Do I think that right now? But it wouldn't surprise me because Trump is so strategic.
Tom, well, what percentage do you think, though, could it be somebody like a last minute Hail Mary? Oh my God, he went with Tulsi, female vote, Democrat turned, Republican. What percentage chance would you put that?
Well, JD Vance is from Ohio. You need the Midwest. It's right next to the blue wall. You've got a solid guy there that's well thought of. So I'm probably like 40% JD Vance and 60% the field, because I think Trump is very strategic and just could put anybody in there.
So, number one, Trump is going to be in Miami today. I'm actually going to the rally tonight at Trump Doral at his golf course in Miami. It's the same place where the Live Golf event was happening a couple months ago. I think this is a 2-horse race. If you look at the odds checker on Vegas, they have Doug Burgum as 1A and JD Vance as 1B. And it's not even close from a 3rd horse candidate. Then you have the Marco Rubios, the Ben Carsons of the world, the Tim Scotts, our friend Tulsi Gabbard, even Elise Stefanik that Tom mentioned. I think we know one thing. It doesn't matter. Trump's the candidate. That's the one thing we know. We have no clue what's going on in the Democratic Party at this point. Ever since that debate and Biden, the Titanic hit the iceberg, Trump is sort of playing with house money at this point. His odds have skyrocketed for being the overwhelming favorite to take back the White House. So whatever candidate he picks, it's Doug Burgum, I think, is 67 years old, completely different from a JD Vance, who's 39 years old. It would potentially be one of the youngest VP picks ever. So the biggest question is, does he go with a Doug Burgum, who's sort of a Mike Pence-esque stable figure in the Republican Party, a businessman, a strategist, governor, North Dakota, or JD Vance, a young firebrand, almost like a Donald Trump Jr. reincarnated senator out of Ohio? Those are his options.
I can't hear Pat.
Vinny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know, PBD. I mean, first of all, it's refreshing. I'm just happy that it's not one of these, I don't care what, we're just this DEI Democratic. We have to go woman. We have to go woman of color. No, you're going for, and Tom made a good point, you're going for what the people are going to like. It's strategic. One guy's from Cleveland. One guy's, he's going to pull this much. I mean, with Mike Pence, what was the decision for Mike Pence? The evangelicals. That's a big voting block.
Big block.
That's a huge block, Adam. But I still think I'm just glad that it's not going to be a DEI pick. It's an actual because look at how much failure from Karine Jean-Pierre to freaking Kamala Harris. How horrible these DEI job position pickings are. But I don't know. But I'm kind of with Tom that it could be a Hail Mary, Pat. I personally, I really, really like and was leaning towards Tulsi Gabbard. I think strong female, switch parties. She's a freaking soldier. She knows what she's talking about. Kim, Tom's wife, just finished reading the book with Tulsi, and she goes, Vinny, I didn't know anything about her. I absolutely love her. And that's the next book that I'm going to read. So I think, but Tom nailed it, Pat. With Trump, it could be a last minute. Wait, what? Who? But I do like JD Vance. He's young. He's fire. He speaks his mind. And I do love Doug Burnham because Doug Burgum, he speaks from his heart as well. And I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. But I'm hoping he surprises everybody with the Tulsi.
PBD, can I ask you?
Yeah, go for it.
I said on a podcast before, whoever the VP is will likely be the front runner for 2028, not to go too far in advance. But you said the top draft pick is Vivek. So where do you stand now as far as if Vivek is not the candidate, is he still the front runner in 2028? What's your speculation?
There is no way the VP is the front runner because not in this situation. You see, it's kind of like this. You know, when you look at sports teams on how they win championships, right? Remember back in the days, it was all about the center. So everybody wanted to draft a center, a Shaq, a Will Chamberlain, a David Robinson, a Patrick Ewing. You need to go through a center and a Hakeem Olajuwon. If you don't have a center, we're not going to win. And then boom, it changes. It's a 2. Then the 2 comes in, and Michael's changing the game. So you need a Clyde. You need somebody to defend him, right? And then the game changes. No, we need a what do you call the 3 people together? And what do they call it? The
big 3.
Triangle.
Big 3. The Celtics, the Miami Heat. You know, and then today it's the European style and what's happening. No, the way you think about VP is in the following way. There are certain people, at least for me, that the VP helps 45%, 40%, 30%, 20%. For example, if I ask you right now, who was Bush Senior's VP? Who was his VP?
Dan Quayle, but I bet 80% of 90% of America forgot.
But that's the point. That's what I'm saying to you. The VP didn't matter. Okay, who was Bill Clinton's VP?
That was Al Gore, sir.
Guess what? He was a #1 pick, and he was a big role because maybe Al Gore was more famous than Bill Clinton, some would say, right? Okay, who was Bush's VP?
That was Dick Cheney, the warmonger.
How big of a role he played, right? From the establishment
strategist.
That's right. So then if you go to Obama, who was his VP?
This guy running for president.
Right.
Heard of him, but yeah, he's there.
Who was Trump's VP? Who was Trump's
Mike
VP?
Pence.
He said to me,
He's relevant, right? So,
I think he got hung.
yeah. So the point is with Trump,
My guy.
Trump can pick anybody. He's going to sell it to you as it's the greatest pick of all time because Trump's that guy. Trump's the guy that's the #2. Put anybody in with him. He's going to be the scorer. He's going to be like, let's go. It's not going to be like, hey, I need you to come do campaigning for me. When's the last time President Bush went and campaigned for Trump for a run for office? Think about it. How many people are campaigning for Biden? Obama, Clinton, everybody. Who's campaigned for Trump that's a previous president? Nobody. He doesn't need it. He's like, yeah, I don't need it. I'm good. So it's a different look for him. The only thing I would be thinking about with him is, what he needs, if anything, less than a 3% influence of what he needs. What can that 3% of influence insurance policy be? Is that JD Vance? Are you most worried about Ohio? Is that a Vivek? I don't think it's a Vivek because Vivek is a #1 draft pick and Vivek is you. So what are you getting with Vivek that you're not really getting from anybody else? And getting a Vivek could even bring the conversation of what Ann Coulter said, right? Well, America's not ready for this. It's just too many conversations that the establishment can be going away from it. Bring a Tulsi. A Tulsi is your connection to any of the independent libertarian side. Does that help at the 2 or 3%? And let's not forget, let's just say Biden steps down. By the way, there's no way in the world the Dems should have Biden replaced before the RNC because you're giving too much opportunity for Trump to pivot accordingly. They have to pick their candidate as close to DC as possible. So Trump has to change and be like, oh my God, we have to adjust to them, right? So let's just say this, Kamala. Who destroyed who on the big stage in a debate in the Democratic Party towards Kamala? Tulsi. Go pull up the highlights, Rob. I don't know if you got a highlight with Tulsi Gabbard against Kamala.
Wow.
I think Tulsi has already gone up against Kamala. So Trump can say from stage, he's always looking for the one-liners. Hey, Kamala, before you come to me, why don't you try to go through my VP? You can't even beat my VP, let alone with me. So Trump can joke and say, honestly, I know Kamala's your candidate. I think it's unfair for Kamala to debate against me. I think it's better for my VP to debate Kamala. He can run with that marketing story and the media will lose their shit if Trump says something like, he can run with that,
Trump
right?
hope, baby.
So I don't know. I think you got the JD. I think Rubio, you already have Florida. What do you need Rubio for? Hispanic vote? I don't even think people look at Rubio as a, I don't know. I don't think it's, I understand Doug. Doug is a Mike Pence pick. Doug is a Mike Pence pick, okay? JD Vance, fire pick. Tulsi, independent pick. That's going to kind of troll Kamala, but that would be my feedback on what I think would happen here. But is that the clip, Rob? How long? Okay, go ahead and play that clip, Rob, if you can. That's Tulsi and Kamala, go ahead.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Boom.
She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Now, Senator Harris says she.
Yeah. You have to know that's power, right? That's power when you hear something like that. And again, if a lot of people haven't read the book, last night, when your wife Kim was talking about Tom, when your wife Kim was talking about Tulsi Gabbard, she says, after reading the book, that's my pick. And Kim's never said that. This is a conservative lady who's never said that, but she said, after I read the book. So for some people that maybe haven't read the book for Tulsi, when it came out, we did one of the first lives. I highly recommend you go order a book and read for yourself and learn about what she's all about. But, you know, at the end of the day, Trump's going to be making that pick, and we'll see who that pick's going to be. All right, let's go to the next story here. I want to go to a business story if we can. Let me pull this up here on a business story. Here's a story from, I think this is Wall Street Journal, okay? People are feeling stuck in their jobs. Bosses are starting to worry. Okay, what's this story all about? Companies like McKinsey, Synchrony Financial, and Exact Sciences are implementing strategies such as increased mobility budgets, job swaps, and role expansions to combat feeling of being stuck and provide new experiences for employees. McKinsey's goal is to help staffers gain a more global understanding of the world by working in different cities or countries. Voluntary turnover within companies have decreased from 17% in 2022 to 12% in 2023, leading to fewer internal moves and promotions. This has resulted in lower regrettable turnover and fewer opportunities for career advancement, causing frustrations amongst employees. Companies like Allstate are prioritizing internal recruitment by setting up career-focused conversations and creating tools to see open projects within the company. This strategy aims to fill more roles internally, with Allstate increasing its internal hires from 45% to 60%, showing that the company values employees' career progression. Tom.
So look, this is the unintended consequence of work from home. And let me paint the picture for you. People working from home could not have those dozen conversations with your boss a week that were mentoring opportunities. Hey, look, I got this halfway done. What are your thoughts on that? Can you give me a few pointers to finish this up? All of that is off the table because you're just on a Zoom with your team to get something done. So you've turned yourself into a remote robot, not a member of a team. Now companies are coming back saying, hey, we want to develop the people inside and do internal hires to promote them. But some of these people we don't have good visibility to. Some of these people really haven't developed. And so companies right now, you know, we've seen a lot of layoffs this year, not as much as a year ago and 2 years ago, but layoffs are coming. And what companies want is the best of the best. And so they're talking about, we need to expose people to the fact that, hey, there's a promotion you could get. Why don't you mentor with me a little more and aim yourself for that promotion? You're a good quality people. Companies want to keep the best, yet the work from home and everything has allowed some of the good people who made the bad choice to stay working from home, didn't get the visibility to the boss. And so now this is unintended consequences coming home to roost.
Adam.
So, you know, the whole concept of people feeling stuck in their jobs. Do you know the average amount of jobs someone works in their lifetime? The answer is 12. So 12 different jobs. So the average job is about 3 to 5 years. So you're going to plan on working for 50 years. The name of the game is figuring out where you want to be long term. You know, there's a difference between having a job versus having a profession. That's the difference between being a jack of all trades versus being a specialist. You know, I've been at my company in the financial services world for 18 years. Most people don't spend more than 5 years at a job. They go from job to job. They're moving for a better paycheck, a better opportunity. You know, we talk about the conversation about people want a work-life balance. I want the perfect work-life balance. Well, Pat, you talk about this all the time. If you want success in your life, buddy, forget about a work-life balance. You better work. You know, the way that I operate is I like doing the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. 80% of my life I spend working, reading, strategizing, improving. And then 20%, yeah, I'd like to enjoy life a little bit. But if you want to have success in your life, if you want to find meaning in your life, you got to work your tail off. Last point, you know, they say, should you follow the passion or should you follow the money? Well, neither. Follow what your talent is, what you're good at. If you double down at that, the money will come, and you're also going to get passionate about it because you're good, because they say that competence will turn to confidence. So this whole conversation about turnover and regrettable turnover and people feeling stuck, if you follow what you're good at, the rest will fall into place.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, I think a big part of this is the company's fault. Okay. So, for example, parents, I can't get my kids to read. How do you make them read? I don't even understand and relate to what you mean you can't get your kids to read. What do you mean you can't get your kids to read? Right now, if you saw my daughter come behind me and walk past over here, I don't know if you saw that or not, is because she came, she's reading the book right now, and she gave me a report after she read the 20 pages. Why did she do that? None of the benefits of the day she gets until she reads. What are the benefits? Playing outside during the summer, going in the pool. You get zero benefits unless if you read a book. Now, you may say that's extreme. That's your problem. That's not mine. That's my vision of what I want to do. But when I'm sitting there and I'm having conversations with my kids and I'm enjoying the conversations, when they're pulling up stories that I didn't even know about, did you know such and such person in 1850 did this? Did you know this person? I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. How'd you learn that? Oh, I read it in this one book. You know, so opportunities expand for your children the more well-read they are with the material. Guess what, Mr. and Mrs. CEO? If you say, don't worry about it, work from home. You don't have to read. You don't have to do this, babe. You don't have to do that. You're raising people that have limited in their opportunities. All of this rises and falls on leadership. I had a conversation the other day with one of our, all our managers this week. Tom, you remember this conversation where we're going back and forth with philosophies on how to manage new people that come on board. And not just anybody that comes on board, like new executives and directors that come on board. And it was like, well, so tell me, how are you managing this one employee? She said, well, listen, this is how I work. I expect you to come in and get the job done. You're already an executive. I expect you to come and do what you're doing. And then you just report to me how the update's going. That's what I expect people to do. I said, that's not the way you lead. Why isn't that the way to lead? I said, listen, one day I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Me and Tom were at this event. This is probably 10, 11 years ago, maybe even longer. And Mark Cuban is one of the speakers. I asked Mark, what's the book that made the biggest impact in your life? He said, Atlas Shrugged. He's distanced himself a lot from that lately with his DEI stuff. But he said, Atlas Shrugged. Then I said, Mark, all these companies you bought, you know, many executives, CEOs have 7 to 12 direct reports, some 15 direct reports, right? You have 56 companies. That means you have 56 direct reports of CEOs. How do you manage them? And he said something interesting. He says, I micromanage until I trust. Too often we trust, then we micromanage. Let me give you the two sides of it. If you micromanage until you trust, what you're telling the new employee or the new executive is, listen, I trust your resume is solid, but I don't trust the fact that you fit our culture 100% yet. That's going to take a minute. So what did you do today? What project are you working on? How did a meeting go? Give me an update throughout the week. What happened over here? Let's have daily huddles. What happened with this part? Because I'm micromanaging you until all of a sudden I'm like, okay, how would you handle that situation? What do you think about what happened? What's your approach? Well, I'm going to let them work from home for a month. That's not our culture. So what if I don't have that conversation? I'm not micromanaging. He makes that decision. She makes that decision. Then I'm like, why did you do that? And it's like, well, you told me you trust me. So I made the decision of trust. Oh, I never said that. That's not what I meant. Friction, fire, layoff. Again, these are mistakes that we've all made, right? So then the other conversation was about, you know, when sometimes managers will hire people in their teams, or when sometimes, like in my insurance company, you know, you'll hire a new executive and a new executive will come and they get a team of 30 people that's on their team, right? And the executive will find a way to win these 30 people over. And they'll use language like the following. Listen, I understand you. We're compliance. We're engineers. We're technology. Not everybody understands you. Pat's not engineer. Pat's not technology. Pat's not compliance. He doesn't understand you, but I do. And I have your back. And as long as they're leading you like a mother does, like just like mommy and these kids, and you're shielding them, right? And when you shield them, what happens? Opportunities are limited. So you're running a corporation, you're like, oh, don't worry. I understand the work from home principle. These executives don't get it. These rich millionaires and billionaires don't get it. We understand we have families. All these guys care about is money, but I care about your mental health. I care about your emotional health. Give me a flipping break. You just destroyed their career. You wasted 4 years of opportunity for them. And now you're sitting around saying what? Now you're sitting around and saying, well, we are feeling stuck because bosses are starting to worry. No shit, you're worried. You're worried because of the policies you came up with. You don't have anything. Who told you to come up with those policies? Who told you that those were good ideas? Now you're paying the price for it. And these guys are sitting around saying, well, listen, I liked it. And by the way, even later on, sometimes when parents make a decision that kids like temporarily, when kids grow up, you know who they resent? The parents with low standards. Think about it. You know, sometimes you have a boss, you're like, man, this guy's so chill. I leave at 3:30. He doesn't say shit. I come in at 9:45. No one knows. He's like, he does one of these wink stuff. Don't worry about it. I got you. But you know what you just did? You just destroyed this guy's potential. You destroyed this guy's upside. Why would you do the wink, wink manager? Because you're so concerned about having people like you. 5 years is gone. That's it. You lost 5 years. So if you got 40 years of running, 1/8 of it is wasted because you had a lazy ass boss with low standards. And a lot of these companies are experiencing that. And then the future potential of somebody is wiped out, thinking this was a good idea. Anyways, that's my thoughts when I think about stories like this, because I think it's the standard of the boss that's doing it. And they're hurting some of the people that maybe have a bigger vision and dream of what they want to do. Let me go into the next story here with business while we're talking about this. And Tom, I think this was the other story that you had, which was about, I want to go through two of these here. Nearly half of Americans are skipping summer vacation due to flight costs. This is a Newsweek story. Nearly half Americans are interested in taking a summer vacation are not doing so due to rising air travel costs, with 44% citing expensive flights as the reason, according to a Newsweek poll by Redfield and Wilson Strategies. The consumer price index for airline tickets has increased by 25% over the past year, with an 18.6% jump in April alone. What? Rising fuel prices and operational costs, coupled with a supply-demand imbalance, are driving up airfares. Jesse Newgerton, CEO of Dollar Fight Club, stated fuel is one of the largest expenses for airlines, and as global oil prices have risen, these costs have been passed on to travelers. The poll shows that 50% of Republican voters and 43% Democratic voters are avoiding air travel this summer due to high costs. Cost of living increases are impacting travel plans, and 54% of those not vacationing citing high living costs. What does it have to do with Republicans? So 54% of Republican voters are skipping summer travel, and only 43%. Does that mean Democrats are richer than Republicans, or does that mean Democrats are more irresponsible with their money than Republicans? Tom, what do you think?
Well, it's if you go down the split, Democrats are more willing to use consumer credit. There's multiple reports on this, and there's some socio-demographic things in here, but there's three things that work here. Thing number one, we got 1.1 trillion in credit card debt, so people don't have the extra space on the credit cards. Number two, we've been talking about it, and people have been out there. There are the deniers. We're at a 25 to 30% cumulative inflation effect going back 3 years. That has made everything more expensive at home. So that point number three, when fuel is expensive and it's more expensive to fly this year than it would normally be, I don't have the credit card space, and my overall cost of living has kind of crushed me. So there's a cumulative effect here that people can't fly. And they ran the survey and they found out, I mean, if you look at it, 43, 54, that's not so far apart. It's basically half of America is saying, I can't do it. And this is sad. This is Bidenomics. This is all coming home to roost here. And now we're seeing, what is it happening? It's happening with people that can't afford to buy a house. And now it's people that can't afford to even take a vacation this summer.
Adam.
Well, There's a couple different stories here, and not to pivot, but there's another story on page 25 where 2/3 of middle Americans say they're falling behind due to the cost of living. So on the surface, it's like, oh my God, 2/3 of Americans can't afford to pay their bills. They're living paycheck to paycheck. But if you unravel that a little bit, that 2/3 number of Americans hasn't deviated in decades, meaning the top Americans, the top 10% are going to be fine. They're making $250,000, $500,000. Some of those people are still somehow living paycheck to paycheck, cost of living, but they're okay. The bottom 20%, I mean, the welfare state, they're not going anywhere on vacation. Maybe they're going to the beach if they're lucky, or their local lake. But the mass proportionality of Americans, 2/3 of them, live paycheck to paycheck. This was true under Bush. This was when he gave the stimulus checks during 2008. This was true during Obama. This was true during Trump. It's true during Biden. It's also unfortunately going to be true when Trump retakes the White House, most likely. What's my point? These are the moves that you're going to have to make if you're an American that you actually want to get ahead. Maybe you don't go on that vacation this summer. Maybe instead of going to Europe or going to Paris or going to London or going to Ibiza, you stay in America, bro. Okay? Go to Detroit. See what's going on there. Go to the hills in Michigan. Go to the Great Lakes. Check out California. So rather than your $5,000 vacation, maybe it's only $2,500. Maybe that $2,500 extra bucks, you pay off your credit card. Maybe you put that into a Roth IRA. Little moves like this will get you ahead. One little point, the flight that they talk about here, where they said 44% of Americans are citing flights as being too expensive. Dude, that's the tip of the iceberg. A flight might be $200, $500, $1,000. What do you think the hotel costs? Okay, so when you go and travel, the hotel's probably going to be triple the price collectively. So if your flight's $500, your hotel costs will probably be $2,000. So these little things here are little moves you can make, are things to get ahead. Then you have this story about a wedding costs $30,000. People are saying, you know what? Forget a $30,000 wedding. Let me try to do a $3,000 wedding. So in the short term, it might suck, but in the long term, when you're debt free, when you save money, and you actually have now 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand to travel, you'll thank yourself a few years later.
Adam, when you're saying
Vinny,
this,
I think I learned a lot though. Before I come to you, Vinny, I think I learned a lot that, why Adam's having a hard time with marriage, because
it's expensive.
If I read it correctly, what Adam just said is, babe, if we get married, I'm going to take you on our honeymoon to Detroit, and we're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
And our wedding will be a $3,000 shotgun wedding.
Yes.
At a local church synagogue here in what do you call it? Israel. I'm sorry, Boca Raton. And we're going to get married here. But think about it. All that money we're going to be able to save to use to be at the elite Uber, riding and all this stuff in black. And
yeah,
I mean, maybe that's the dream he's selling. Can you imagine he's talking dirty to his girl? Babe, if you marry a guy like me, I'm going to take you to Detroit. No way.
Listen, ain't nothing wrong with Detroit Rock City, PBD.
Said anything. I'm just saying that's how you're selling the dream. Vinny, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, and Adam, I get it when you said, this isn't, this is under this president or that president, but if you think about it, this is not only a Republican conservative problem now. You even said Democrats are complaining. Let's point right out at the problem. This is that Bidenomics. This is that the economy's good. They keep BSing like they do every single day. All the price of everything is up. Groceries, everything, gas prices, every crime, every number, every metric of every single problem that we have is all going up. And I want people to point at it. These are just horrible policies. This is a horrible, horrible president. And I think if it was Trump, you actually think that if Trump was in, this would be this out of control? I think not. I think it'd be the other way. What did the CEO of that cereal company say a couple months ago? He's like, hey, we know everybody's poor right now. Have a box of cereal for dinner.
For breakfast and for dinner.
Hey, cereal, guys, to hell with, candlelight dinner, steak. Bring her to the house. Have some fruit roll. Have some fruity pebbles. You can go. No. Let's just
Protein is overrated.
Yeah, but Tommy, you know what I'm saying? It's all the prices are up. Everybody's complaining. Nobody's happy, and it's because we have an administration. Like I'm not saying Biden anymore. I'm done saying that. We've all known forever it's not him making the decision. It's this administration. They know what they're doing. They're trying to ruin the freaking country. And I call it for what it is. It's the policies. It's not everybody's pissed off at this one thing, and it's nonstop.
Well, PBD. I mean, it wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't try to at least push back, even though it's via Zoom. But I feel maybe a little bit more empowered that you're not next to me. I don't feel as intimidated. But, I guess my question would be, how do you grapple with the story that you tell about make sure the young wolf in you takes care of the old wolf in you? So what do I mean? You've been pretty open about when you first married Jen, you weren't buying her a lot of luxury things. You bought her a Kate Spade purse for $500. Now you're buying her,
Kate Spade was too much. Coach, $300. I like Coach.
Okay. But now she can buy whatever she wants. So what's the story there?
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all,
you actually save more and pay attention to the finances short term. Long term, you could do whatever the hell you want.
No,
because I did that. Now I'm not going to take my girl to Detroit. I'll take her to Paris. So,
well, I mean, listen, to be fair, while you're going through this stuff as well, I was doing some research and I pulled up if we can show this, Rob, it's very important. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm looking at. Can you guys see what I'm looking at or no?
No.
Are you on the website or no? Where it shows, let me see if it's allowing me to share right there. There we go.
Okay, I see it now. Yeah.
Okay, look at this. 5 Michigan honeymoon destinations that won't disappoint you. 5 best things to do in Detroit for your honeymoon. 10 best Detroit honeymoon hotels. I mean, look, so maybe you were up to something that we weren't thinking about. But I'll tell you this. Last night, if you were here, I got Jen probably the wildest gift she's ever gotten outside of the house and all this other stuff that we've done. She got a really nice gift last night. And when we were getting married, my wife, till today, this is what most people don't know. I bought a $3,000 ring for my wife. Literally, it's, to be exact, $3,300. Okay. And that's not because I didn't have money, but I bought a $3,300 ring for my wife. And I said, at our 10-year anniversary, I'll buy you a $50,000 ring, something really nice. And she said, I don't want it. I'd much rather go to Monaco. Let's go and stay there for a week, first class, all this stuff. No problem. We went and we did that. And then I said, if she says, babe, I really want a nice purse one day. No problem. One day after 3 kids, maybe. But I'm Mr. Coach. And we had a Coach. I bought, I don't know how many Coach purses I bought. They were the best. $300 Coach. They knew me. I was like a first, what do you call it? One of these customers that are B-backs. I'm like, nobody buys more Coach purses than this guy. Huh? What you call it?
A returning customer. They know.
I was a mad returning customer. I would go back.
Coach of the year.
Club.
But when we had Senna, our third, and our first daughter, I bought her a Chanel purse, and I went to the hospital and I gave it to her, and she was grateful for it. And then our 15-year anniversary just happened June 26th, and she got a nice watch, a nice Patek watch yesterday that I gave to her at dinner, and she's been wanting this watch for a while. Shout out to Roman for helping make this work with his guy Adrian, that they had to go to some weird places to get this watch, but she was very happy. No, I think that's how you lead your family. So, Adam, I am way more on your end of being cost effective with the money now because life is so expensive. And I know that part is we're being comical and I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
But trust me, I'm part of that community of saving that money. You know where Jen and I went on our honeymoon?
Detroit?
We drove 2 hours and we went to Santa Barbara. We stayed at Bacara Hotel. No flight, no nothing. We went, we came back. It was 2 nights. That was it. I'm like, babe, I can't afford to be gone for too long. I'm running a company. She understood. She's like, yeah, I totally get it. But okay, this was fantastic. Let's go to the next story here. But I think the over-under of Adam getting married is now above 60 years old. That's just what I looked at Vegas odds while we're going through this. It was like above 50. I think now we're above 60. Who knows? I mean, Adam, the other day, I'm at Palm Beach having dinner at this restaurant called Meat Market. Okay, pretty bad name, but that's exactly what I think the place is.
Yeah.
A meat market, right?
Yeah.
And there was this 36, 37-year-old tennis coach, no joke, having dinner with probably a very attractive 88-year-old lady.
Nice.
You know,
nice.
And what I mean by that is you could tell she's in her late 80s, early 90s, but that's her tennis coach. And I heard him talk. So, I mean, he was talking dirty to her. You're a bad girl. You're a this.
I love it.
It's like, oh my God, you know. And Jen and I are looking at each other. I'm like, babe, is this seriously happening? And she says, babe, it's happening. And she looks over there, she's like, what is going on here? It was a 35, 38-year-old guy talking pure like trash, but it was entertaining watching these guys.
PBD, can I give you a quick little
it'll be the fastest way for you to be a billionaire overnight.
I want that.
I know. I was just gonna say Vinny is salivating at this opportunity right now.
Yeah.
But
she have a sister.
Wow.
In the meat market in Palm Beach, you know, there's also one in Miami South Beach. You know, shocker, I've been there. And 98% of the time, it's the exact reverse. It's an 80-year-old man and a 30-year-old chick, and they're having that exact same conversation. So that's the anomaly. But I just want to get Tom's feedback real quick about the ring. Because Tom, you know, we're right around the same age when you got married, engaged. You know, I made the mistake when I got engaged for the first time, hopefully the last time before this next time, whatever. Dude, I went all out. I bought a $20,000 ring.
Oh my God.
And
what an idiot.
Rob, kick him off the podcast, Rob.
You know, shocker alert. I had to finagle the ring back. I tried to resell it. I got basically half my money back. I didn't plan it out okay. Save that money. I get it. You know, Pat's saying he went $3,000. Luckily, he's got a non-materialistic, grateful, amazing wife. Clearly, that's a great blueprint. Tom, how much money did you spend when you bought a ring? How'd that work out?
You know what? I was at a part of my career. I had to be moderate, and Kim knew it. And I got something that was really meaningful. I didn't spend 10 grand on a ring. And our honeymoon, we had a relative let us use their timeshare in Hawaii, which was not the best timeshare, but it was we used our money to go to dinner and all the places we could go to make the most out of the honeymoon. And I promised her, I said, look, he says, give me a couple years and we'll go on an amazing trip. Where do you want to go? She said, I'd like to go to Italy. And I said, you got it. And we have a Tiffany silver frame that's engraved that says, happy 2nd anniversary, all my love. We went to Hawaii. It was only 2 years later because there was an unexpected, really big boom that happened with the company I was with. It was fantastic. We were sensible, but we took some of that. And I took her as promised to Italy, and we had the best time. We were there about 10 days, and that was our honeymoon. That was our delayed honeymoon.
Let me do this. I think it's important. I remember when you guys went on this thing, and I actually have a picture of it when they went. Adam, I think it's important for you to see because I think it'll sell you the dream. This is Kim and Tom. This is in their bedroom, by the way. When you go and see it, it's insane. This is their honeymoon. Okay, if you see it or not, let me see if you guys can see this. This is it right here.
Wow.
You see the bags, like all the bags right there.
Oh my gosh.
That was they saved so much money.
Save that money, Tommy.
Wow. But man, you got to respect it. You got to respect it.
Found the picture. How did you find the picture?
What's wrong with that?
That's what I say. That's gorgeous. But Adam, so you spent $20,000 on the ring for the wife?
Yeah.
Did you, real question, when you gave it to her, did you send for an Uber to bring her to the house to propose to her?
We were living together at the time.
Oh, okay, my bad. So no Ubers.
I'll give you the message.
Contradictions here, Vinny. What are you trying to do? Let's skip this story and go to the next one. By the way, the other day,
okay, go ahead.
Adam tells me, Pat, can you do the 200 podcast? I've never interviewed you. I went on Saucecast, and it was supposed to be an hour. I got there at 9:05. Podcast starts at 9:50. The podcast ends at 1:20. It was a 3.5-hour podcast with Adam, and he asked me the weirdest questions, but it was great. I don't know when it's coming out. You guys got to check it out, but it is what it is. Maybe we're getting closer to some happening here. Let me get to the next story. All right, next story, Tom. So a bunch of disappointed billionaires, after supporting Biden, just absolutely furious. I don't even know where to start, by the way. I'll go with one of them. There's so many of these stories. So billionaires bailing on Biden. Okay, this is a Forbes story. Barry Diller, Christy Walton, Reed Hastings, Netflix, urge Biden to drop out, right? Prominent Biden supporters, Barry Diller, Reed Hastings, Christy Walton, are urging Biden to drop out his re-election bid. Diller and his wife simply said no when asked if they support Biden's re-election, while Hastings believes Biden should step aside for a vigorous Democratic leader to beat Trump. Mark Cuban, a Biden supporter, expressed a desire to see potential replacement for Biden, stating it's worth considering. In contrast, Reid Hoffman, this is LinkedIn, a major Biden donor, called it a bad idea to push Biden to step down, praising Biden's values, instincts, patriotism, and courage. Biden's debate performance sparked concern among donors, supporters, and Cuban calling it awful and noting Biden appeared feeble. Lauren Powell Jobs, which is Steve Jobs' widow, and other Silicon Valley supporters also expressed alarm, while Avarm Glazer continued to support Biden. Then Katzenberg was under fire. Rob, do you have a video of this, of the Katzenberg thing? I think you got a video of this if you could pull it up. Hollywood donors are furious with him because he had this event, and a lot of people were giving money because he's like, this is our guy. And then an anonymous Hollywood power broker stated Jeffrey lied about the whole Biden thing. The whole Biden inner circle lied. It's such an act of hypocrisy. Major entertainment, this goes the same list of names as well. Another one, Hollywood mega donors, Ari Emmanuel torches Biden, says donors are moving money down ballot. We're in F city, is what he said. His words, Ari Emmanuel. So, I mean, listen, there's a lot of names here where he says Emmanuel questioned Biden's ability to lead, saying, if you were driving from downtown Beverly Hills to Malibu, would you want Biden to do what? Would you want Biden to do it at night? If it's either, you cannot have them running a $27 trillion company called United States. Emmanuel stated Biden is not the candidate anymore, noted the lifeblood to campaign and politics is money. He revealed that donors are moving all their money to Congress and Senate due to concerns about Biden's viability, adding, I've talked to a bunch of big donors, but we're in F city. And he kept going, saying he gave us a bunch of malarkey, and I'm really pissed. This is Ari. Tom, when you hear this, Rob, by the way, if you got the video, Rob, play the clip, and then I'm going to go to Tom. If you do have it.
To myself, I wasn't going to swear.
This is Ari.
So we're in this is a pickle. You know, the lifeblood to, and I have a brother who's a politician. He's an ambassador, as it said. The lifeblood to a campaign in politics, the lifeblood is money. And maybe the only way this gets, with smart lawyers looking at it, is if the money starts drying up. And I've talked, I mean, I'm assuming all of you've gotten a lot of calls. I've gotten a lot of calls. We've all sat there. It was
well, I was going to say, what happens now?
You know,
Jeff
and if this is, as Biden says, the fight for our democracy, and he talks about the soldiers, man, he gave us a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah,
I'm really pissed.
Pause it right here.
Right. And we all
your thoughts with all these billionaires leaving leaving Biden. Your thoughts?
Two things are going on here. The first thing is pay attention to some of the list of billionaires, self-made people, Barry Diller, Reed Hastings, Ari Emmanuel. These people are self-made. They've been competing all their life with their businesses, and they don't like to lose. And they're staring a loss in the face that they were asked to support. So that's lane number one. And these are the people that were truly close, very close to Biden, very close to his people. And Ari is saying he gave us a bunch of malarkey. Then you have the second ring where they're pulling into the ring the wealthy producers, the wealthy actors and actresses that are not part of the super close circle, that aren't 1 degree of separation from Obama. Reed Hastings is 1 degree of separation from Obama. They're on each other's phone. So you've got these guys who are entrepreneurs that don't like to lose. And then Katzenberg, who's super close to Oprah, who basically was the bundler. You know what a bundler is, gathers up all the money. Well, he was a relationship bundler for Hollywood. So he's saying, hey, baby, I'm Jay Katz. You know, you can trust me. We see what's going on. Don't believe the media. Don't believe what you see. Come to the fundraiser. Come here. We need you. That's what he is saying to the next level of Hollywood millionaires. Pulled them in. And guess what? Over the weekend, they called BS on it. They called BS and then some. They said, Jeff, You're supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be close to Biden. You're supposed to be talking to him, talking to Oprah, talking to the campaign. You're supposed to be this close, like you're right there. And you're pulling me and you're asking me to give you $5 million. And then we see this disaster. Come on. And so that's the second thing, is the people that were pulled in by the inner circle are feeling duped and pissed. And then the inner circle, Reed Hastings, one of the Waltons, not self-made, but she's one of the Walton children. And, Ari are like, man, we're in a pickle here. We were sold a bunch of malarkey.
Vinny.
Listen, anything with pickles. Pat, is that Ari Emmanuel? Is that the brother of the guy that used to work with Obama? Oh man,
his brother is Ram.
His brother is Ram.
By the way, just so you know, Ari is, if I put this in a proper way, Ari's probably, some may say top 10. I would even argue for top 5. He's probably the top 5 biggest power players in the entertainment industry. Yeah. Not Ram, Ari Emmanuel.
The other
the top 5. And the thing that's different about Ari than Ram, Ari, politically, people know where Ari is. He's a liberal. It's not like he hides it. But Ari's got a relationship with Dana. Ari's got a relationship with Dwayne. Ari's a businessman. So if you remember the show Entourage, it's about this guy. Yeah, Entourage is about Ari Emmanuel, the power player, manager, agent, whatever you want to call it. So they're two different people. One is the Obama guy. This guy's a Hollywood guy.
Yes. So PBD. So this is, from not being the business guy, but just seeing it from the outside. Besides the people complaining, and now these liberals are all panicking right now, and now CNN and all these places are panicking now, because he even said it, Pat. This is the money. This is the people that are really, really involved with people's campaigns and making things happen. So my question is, so now, because we all know what the Democrats are going to do, let's not BS. There's always going to be cheating and election this, and pandemic was happening and all this stuff. Now that these people are involved, PBD, my question is, like, are they going to let them get away with what we all know that they're going to try to get away with this time, when they know that their wallets are getting hit? You know what I'm saying? Like, are these people now more involved, like talking to like the higher ups, going, yo, don't play any crazy stuff. We do not want this guy and his policies staying for another 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, from the sounds of it, they're trying to pick their guy that they can get behind, and nothing is worse than the best way to give it to you is NBA draft or NFL draft. What happens when a team drafts a player that the fans don't want? What happens at the draft? What do you hear?
Booing.
Boo! Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's what this is. These are like, why the hell would you draft him?
Yeah.
It's very simple. You have a team that you're cheering for, right? This is your team that you've been rooting for, the Giants, the Yankees, whatever. And then they draft somebody, they're like, we should have picked the other guy. We can win with the other guy. Why do you pick this guy? That's all this is. Adam, I'll come to you last before we go to the next story.
So, follow the money. Ari Emmanuel, which I want to talk about, he said that money is the lifeblood of politics. And he expressed the fact that money is moving away from the presidential election. They're like, dude, what is happening right here? And it's flowing to Congress. Because basically the game plan will be, all right, if we don't win the executive branch, let's at least try to do our best to keep the legislative branch in tow, because we know the judicial branch, the third lane of the 3 branches of government, is in the Republicans. Trump is now, I think, at least according to the odds, 70% chance of taking this. So at the very least, their money's saying, hey, we got to keep one of these branches within the Democratic Party. We'll see how that shakes out. So, who does the Democratic Party have? If you're talking about California, Silicon Valley, and they have Hollywood. So talking about Hollywood for a second, Jeffrey Katzenberg, massive player in Hollywood, power player, Titan, co-founder of Hollywood Pictures, DreamWorks. But Ari Emmanuel, let's stay there for a second. He owns, I think he's the CEO of Endeavor William Morris. Yeah. Is there a bigger talent agency than that in the world? I don't know. No. It's in the top 2 or top.
No, they're number 1.
You talk about the relationship with Dana White. Well, Endeavor owns UFC and WWE. They put together a joint venture, I don't know, a year ago. I think they bought that. But Pat was absolutely right about his, where his allegiance lies. His brother, Rahm Emanuel, was chief of staff for Obama. He was the mayor of Chicago for about a decade after he was the chief of staff for Obama, 2011 to 2020, basically. And now works for the Biden administration as the U.S. ambassador to Japan. So with all that, there's Rahm Emanuel right there. And Rob, if you can cue up the second half of that clip from 4:58 to 5:12, just to show you how pissed Ari Emanuel is. But before I show you that, here's where I'm going with this. Speaking of Hollywood, the movies, I said on the last podcast that the Democratic Party is now the Titanic. The debate was the iceberg. They sent out the orchestra. Hey, nothing to see here. Well, we all know exactly what happened. They are panicking. And it was live in full effect when Ari Emanuel, Hollywood power player, was like, no. But at this point, if the Democratic Party is the Titanic, Joe Biden is now Jordan Belfort from The Wolf of Wall Street. Why? Because he's getting up on stage and he's saying, you ready? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. They're going to have to take a wrecking ball to get me out of here. When everyone's like, Joe, you got to get out of here. He's like, they're going to need to bring in the National Guard and the SWAT team because I ain't going nowhere. And that's what Joe Biden is saying when the rest of the money is like, dude, be gone.
Rob, if you
Joe
got
Biden's
the clip,
saying I'm not going anywhere.
I see it. Rob, if you got the clip, play the clip, the Ari one that he's talking about, the 458.
If the money comes in, I talked to a bunch of big donors, and they're moving all their money to Congress and the Senate. I cannot believe we're in this situation.
Well, as one of the great disruptors in your career, do we have to sit by and sleepwalk?
It's a legal issue now.
Yeah.
You're not in, I'm going to resign, unless the lawyers tell you something else, and maybe there's some wiggle room. I haven't seen it, and I'm not a lawyer, but we're in fuck city.
Okay.
So this is a Biden surrogate, typically. His brother is an ambassador to Japan. He's basically saying, we're fucked. And Biden's saying, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, let me just show you this, though, for you to kind of realize, Vinny, on who Ari is.
Yep.
It's kind of like, me and let me see if this is the one. Maybe this is the one. See if you guys can see this or not.
Yep.
Let me know if you guys can see it.
Yep.
So, you see it? What does the article say? Donald Trump meets with Ari Emanuel. Okay. In there, look at that picture. These guys they have a relationship. So it's not like he was meeting with them to help him do a documentary for 2016, et cetera, et cetera. And then last minute, it's like, no, they didn't end up doing it. This guy's connected with everybody. Ari is a top 5 guy. Some would even say 1. I'm putting him as a top 5 guy in the space, but we can transition to the next story.
Okay.
And talk about some other stuff that's going on here. Why don't we, for the hell of it, I want to talk about this. I actually think it's interesting conversation about the futurist story on 5 predictions being made in a book that's coming out. A Google Futurist talks about this on Ray Kurzweil's prediction in his new book, The Singularity is Near. Okay. And here's what he talks about. We'll read it here together while I'm going through the notes. Let me pull this up here. I think this is it. Yep, this is it. Okay, so check this out. The dead will come back to life. What? He's predicting that in the future, the dead will come back to life. Rob, well, you're on I pulled up the story here. But dead will come back to life. Okay. He believes that AI will enable the resurrection of the dead, starting with simulations and progressing to physical forms. He has already created a digital replicant of his father using his father's writing and compositions. By the end of the 2020s, highly realistic, non-biological recreations of people will be possible. Eventually, these replicants may inhabit cybernetically augmented biological body grown from a DNA of the original person. He predicts that humans will transition into artificial bodies that surpass biological limitations by the 2040s, 20 years from now. 2, humans will become 1 million times more clever. The 5th epoch of intelligence will see humans merge with machines. Enhanced by AI, human intelligence will multiply millions of times by connecting directly to machines. in the 2030s, the upper ranges of our neocortices will connect to the cloud, extending. This is like the Neuralink stuff. Number 3, immortality begins in 2030. He predicts humans will achieve escape velocity for immortality by 2030. Advanced AI will lead to rapid clinical trials with new longevity treatments. Technologies like medical nanorobots made from diamondoid parts will onboard sensors will play a crucial role. 4, life will become cheaper and easier. Technology will drastically reduce the cost of living luxuriously by 2030. Robots and 3D printers will accelerate construction process. Interesting. Living standard will improve as these advancements make luxurious lifestyles more affordable. 5, entertainment, where we feel every thought. Human brains will be upgraded with nanotechnology, enabling immersive entertainment experiences. Harmless nanoscale electrodes will be inserted into the brain, enhancing mental processing. Freed from the physical constraints of the skull, minds will process information of substrates million times faster than biological tissue, expanding intelligence exponentially. Okay, Tom, thoughts on the story?
Well, somewhere at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, someone is saying, "Ah, crap, he's talking 10 years from now." So basically, I think they wish they could kind of hook Biden up to some of the stuff today. But I think what he's done, Ray is a futurist, but he's a pragmatic futurist that lives in the realm of the possible in terms of invention, and he sees the invention path. And I think what he's describing for us is outlining what I take away from this is, hey, folks, here is an outline of what is possible. What should we be doing about this? What should we be doing about this in terms of, our families, what we will permit our children to do and not do? This is coming into just a wide scope of the possible that I think we need to understand how we're going to manage this. You've got everything from, it's like, I've got real questions here. I'll just ask a practical question. Let's say, Pat, you and I own a large Vegas casino. How will we know if someone that's not coming in who can count cards faster than any human impossible? And because counting the card at the blackjack table increases the odds, and mathematicians have been banned from blackjack tables. How are you you're going to ban somebody, but not after they cleaned you out for $2.5 million in a single sitting? So I think there's a lot of things we need to look at, on how we're going to manage it. And when you think of the immortality side of, it just, to me, that just brings kind of moral dilemmas to me. But I think what Ray is talking about is what is the possible. And he is not a guy you would call the kook who's, describing things that aren't possible, aren't going to happen. I believe half of what he's discussed right now is on timelines already.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask all of you guys this. Do you think 10 years from now, podcast is going to be around? Like podcasting will be around 10 years from now?
I think so.
Do you think it'll be more competitive or less competitive?
More.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So reaction videos like this, thoughts, reaction to stories, first take, stuff like this. In 10 years, what percentage, right now there's only 1 or 2 cases of people that have used Neuralink. In 10 years, how many people you think will be on Neuralink?
On Neuralink in 10 years of the entire American population?
Yeah, out of 150 million adults, how many people will be on Neuralink? Ages 18 to 65 will be on Neuralink.
In 10 years, what? I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Like that needed PBD, like paraplegics and stuff like that. I would say
how many people will take the chip to be able to make decisions faster, to have the ChatGPT 9 model in their brain that you can just access information like this, and you're talking like this. And he said on December 9th of 1943, here's what happened in morning. And when you think about what 663 times 493 is, you get this number. What in 10 years?
In 10 years, I think 3 to 5% of the entire population.
Okay, so in 10 years, you're doing a podcast. Do you think you are as educated and researched to give your opinion on issues as somebody else that has a Neuralink chip in their brain to be able to access that information more?
No, but it won't be coming from Vincent Oshana. It won't be coming from me and my experience. Like, don't get me wrong, the information will be there. There'll be a walking, talking encyclopedia, but who is it coming from? Are they just going to be spitting out the fact?
I don't think the chip changes your biases. I think the chip just feeds you the information, right? Let's say. So if the chip changes biases, then it's a different story. You're biased. So you're like, I have a different bias on this. But Tom, in 10 years, if others are doing podcasts and you're seeing people are crushing it with podcasts and they're able to access Neuralink technology, stuff like that, what would you be doing? What would be the differentiator then?
Well, I think you hit on something, because you've got the ability to get the facts, all the data. So you have this data flow where it's infinite data flow. But now the question is, is AI going to develop the analytical mind that's going to draw the parallels and make the point? Right? You can causation. I mean, they could talk this data and that data and talk about causation, smoking, cancer, conclusion. I think AI will work like that. I'm yet to see, where AI is going to take the human assessment. So you can get more data into the human mind, but now the human's going to make the assessment, right? It's going to draw the conclusions, not just like smoking, cancer, causation.
And PBD, do you guys remember? So just really fast, going back to Ray Kurzweil, do you guys remember the Transcendent Man that I talked about, that documentary in 2009, where he came out? PBD, this guy loved his father like immensely. His father passed, and he had since been trying to come up with this nanotechnology. And what you did, this story just made me come back and remember, this guy wanted to basically recreate his father and bring his father back. So all these years later, now we're getting to the point, 2024, where that's it. And he, remember, and this is the singularity is near. This is from a book from 2005. And this, in my opinion, PBD, this is when it comes to God's work. We are all God's creations. And when it's your time, you asked me, actually, Pat, yesterday you asked me randomly, you're like, Vinny, if you could live forever, would you do it? And automatically what I say, nope. I don't even want to be young again. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. God put us here. This is the cycle of life. But then on the flip side of this documentary, a lot of like professional like brains were like, no. What Ray Kurzweil is trying to do is make these robots and these machines 1,000,000 times faster thinking per second than you are. And he goes, the problem is going to be the art-to-let war. Artificial intelligence thinking too highly for themselves and becoming their own gods, and then them destroying us, and that's going to be the end of humanity. And he was like, no, that's not it. He's just trying to extend life and bring people like his father back. I think it's a slippery slope, and I don't think it ends well for us as human beings.
Rob, can you run a poll to see what percentage of people would want to live forever? What percentage of people would want to live forever? And by the way, I'm going to go back to that question because of what he's talking about with the futurist stuff that's coming. Tom, if in 10 years you're able to add a chip, CRX model, okay, V series, AMG package, okay, with a Ferrari engine to accelerate as much information as you're consuming, to have it automatically be in here where you can, like, think about if there's a chip that you put in here that every book in the history of mankind you've read, and it's already in your head. Every single book ever written in mankind you can pull from. Somebody says, do you know Dante? Yes. Which book? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, page 282. If that existed, would you want that chip here when you're doing podcasts and shows?
I think the answer to that's going to be yes. I mean, someone's going to want it. Someone's going to agree to do it. So I see this in important parallels, kind of like steroids in baseball. There were baseball players that were against steroids, but they said, I had to do it because the recovery for pitchers and the strength and pitch recognition that I got, because a little bit of eyesight was improved too, says, I got to do it. So you had the players that said no, never on moral grounds. You had the players that went and did it. And other players even said he finally broke and decided to do it because everybody had to do it and he didn't want to get cut. Then they had the players that did it and had no moral. They were like, I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it. And so I think that's the same human logic that's going to go here. You're going to have the leads that do it. Then people say, I have to do it. And the people say, I don't want to do it. Now, having all that. So there's two issues here. Having access to all that information so you can do things and do them faster. That's one element. The immortality side is another. You know, it's like I look at this and I'm like, do I want to go through another 40 presidential elections? No, I don't think I do. You know, that would be, you know, that's 160 years. It's like, I don't know. The immortality question is a much different question from the data assimilation and data access question.
Adam.
Sure. Well, thank God we're getting some news along the lines of the future looks bright, which, you know, we might have heard a few times here at Valuetainment, because every time we hear something about AI, it's always like AI is going to destroy humanity. Humanity's done. We've learned terms like Elon Musk is a humanist. He believes in the human race. It's like, well, yeah, thank God. No shit. Like, I think we all kind of do. But here's this guy, Ray Kurzner. By the way, you know, Vinny was kind of touching on this. This guy's no lightweight. This guy has been around for decades. He's been called the modern day Thomas Edison, one of the revolutionaries that made America. He's received honors from, I think, 3 different presidents. He's in the Inventors Hall of Fame. This guy's been doing this for 20 years, and he has credibility, longer than 20 years. But I think in 2000, he won the National Medal for Technology. So for 25 plus years, he's been actually right. There he is right there. So, you know, we see a lot of guys that make predictions, doomsday predictions. Here's a guy that actually walks the walk and talks the talk and does it the right way. So what's he saying? That AI is going to bring the dead back to life. Neuralink is going to make people smarter. We're living longer. It's going to become cheaper to live. It's less expensive. Entertainment. You know, we've seen things like AI girlfriends show up out of nowhere. You know, 1/3 of men under 30 aren't dating anybody, haven't had sex in a year. They're relying on AI. I don't know. I think to me,
Rob, cut that clip.
There needs to be a balance of the future and AI, but also let's not forget our humanity. Humanity is what separates us from the animals. Consciousness, having a heart, having empathy. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go in the future with all the advancement in technology and AI and virtual, and just humans wanted to have human emotions and live a real life.
Very emotional. Very emotional.
That wasn't even me. That was just Neuralink.
I don't know if you can see it.
That was it.
If you can see it here, I'm trying to like cover it up, but
I see it.
I really felt it.
You want me to come in my room, Pat? I have Kleenex.
No, I'll make it work. I figure out a way on how to take it back. But okay, next, Novak Djokovic is at the Wimbledon. Okay, and Vinny, why don't you tell us what happens here?
So he wins the match and he's standing there, and apparently he beat Holger Rune, Rune, and there was like, you know, this guy when he's playing, you know, they cheer Rune. They say the guy's name, but Novak gets he's on center stage, and guys, and Tom brought this up. Think about what the world put this guy through, especially America. He's not vaxxed. He couldn't play in the Open. They kept demonizing him like they did to Rogan and all these guys, that they're evil, bad men because they don't care about humanity. But he said against the vax. He's very staunch on his stance and he stays firm. He wins this match. During the match, by the way, he was kicking this guy's ass the entire time. The guy had no chance. So instead of the room, they were like boo, and Novak, with the microphone on center stage, calls them all out, Pat. And he's like, I'm a veteran. You guys, what you're trying to do doesn't work. And I think Rob has the video. It's sick.
And to all those people that have chosen to disrespect the player, in this case me, have a good night.
With them booing?
Good night, good night. Very good night. Yeah. I'm hoping that they were just commenting on Runa and that they weren't disrespecting you. They were. I don't accept it. No. I know they were cheering for Rune, but that's an excuse to also boo. Listen. I've been on the tour for more than 20 years, so trust me, I know all the tricks. I know how it works. It's fine, it's okay. I focus on the respectful people that have respect, that pay the ticket to come and watch tonight. and love tennis. And love tennis and appreciate the players and the effort that the players put in here. I played in much more hostile environment, trust me. You guys can't touch me.
Yeah. And just Pat, I just love it. What a boss move for whatever you guys hate me. I'm not stupid. I'm on to you guys. And guess what? I've been in 10 times worse than just people going boo to me. I think it's freaking amazing.
What's his? So I saw this where he was not liking the comments. He was thinking they were booing him, but it was really rooting for the other guy. Here's what some people are saying about it. Paranoid or not, fragile or not, immature or not, this version of Djokovic is so much more authentic and enjoyable than the heart-throwing nonsense of a decade ago. Glad he's speaking the truth. I'm reading these comments from different people on what they're saying about it. Look, if there's anybody that understands the concept of having an enemy that brings out the best in you, I freaking love it. And sometimes some of the most psychotic competitors in sports or in business, guess what they do? They create a fake enemy. Whether it's real or not, they exaggerate it because they know how they get out of it. There's a lot of people that compete very well when you disrespect them. I think Djokovic is one of them. Let me read one of these stories here. As Unleashed were left angry with how the crowd treated him during the Monday night's game. The Danish fans in attendance could be heard vocally supporting Gruen, which master of ceremonies Rishi Prashad suggested that would be the case, but that claim was awkwardly slapped down by the Siberian star. I'm very pleased. I don't think he has played anywhere close to his best, to be honest. It was a tough start for him. He lost the first 12 points, and I think that got to him mentally. He said that waiting all day to come out of the court is never easy. The tension is building up and stress to get out the court. On my end, I think I've done this at important moments. And then to all my fans that have respect from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. So he was thinking people were booing him. And for the backstory where a lot of people don't know, Tom, which tournament was it that Djokovic couldn't play at because he didn't take the vaccine? Which one was it? The Australian Open, right?
I think that was Australia.
Yep. And he came back. He came back and won it, and had something to say when he came back and won it afterwards, when they could all travel again.
Yeah, and when he won it, Rob, if you can find that clip, I believe he won in front of Bill Gates.
Oh, that's just the best.
Yeah, I think he won in front of Bill Gates in Australia. And let me see if I can find this, Rob. If you can pull this up, Australia.
It was pretty funny. He was sarcastic. Some of the things he said. There was something along the lines of, "Oh, it's okay that I'm back." And he's holding the trophy.
But PBD, remember, he was allowed to play in the Open after a COVID-19 policy change. They didn't want to let him in the United States. Nobody wanted him because he's such a huge celebrity, an athlete, a figure. Big Pharma's like, whoa, he can't not want to put this experimental drug in his body. So they all went after him, and you nailed it, Pat. He picked an enemy. The enemy picked him. I think the enemy was like, hey, you're the problem. And he said, okay, you want to play this game? And now he's flying back. And I think it's amazing that he's winning all these tournaments, and he's winning in the eye of the public. For him, I'm proud of him.
If you see that link, Rob, I just put there, if you can go to that, that's exactly when we responded to the story. And it shows right afterwards how he celebrates. I don't know if you see it or not. If you can post it for the audience.
Probably 2021.
Guy's from Serbia. He's like, I've been in way worse conditions than what you guys.
I freaking love it. There's something about this guy's chippy style of playing. And remember, at the time, Bill Gates was the face of COVID. And when this guy didn't want to take it, he was scrutinized. He was criticized. Yeah, this is it. 12 months after not being allowed to compete on Australia Open, Djokovic ends up winning. And to top it off, Bill Gates was there to witness his 22nd Grand Slam victory.
Sick.
Good for this guy. He's still got a chip on his shoulder. By the way, you know what I'm interested with this guy? I'm actually really interested to know what he does post-playing. Post-playing. Some players like Roger Federer, it was all tennis. Pete Sampras, it was all tennis. Andre Agassi, it was all tennis. And when they were done playing, they kind of just went in, became speakers and told their stories and maybe invest in some businesses and stayed close to the game. But I think this guy is deeper than just doing the tennis part. It'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing. I like him. I'm happy what he's doing right now. Adam, go for it.
So you know how Tom always says, words talk, numbers scream? Well, if you just follow the numbers and follow the money, this dude is the GOAT of tennis.
Yes.
It's not even, you don't even think of him as the GOAT. You know, DJ Khaled had that song, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. All this dude does is win. By the way, who has the most Grand Slam titles
This guy.
in tennis history?
Novak.
Joker,
24.
24. The next are Nadal and Federer, 22 and 20. By the way, he has more than Serena. Not that she's trying to compete with the men. You know what she said before. She has 23. So he has 24 and counting. The rest of them are pretty much finished. Who has the most career earnings in tennis? All I do is win, 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 no matter what. He's number one, 170 million, whereas Federer and Nadal are in the 130 million range. So this guy is sort of the bad boy of tennis. He's not beloved for whatever reason, like a Federer, like a Nadal, like a Serena. But let's get real here. This dude is the GOAT. And speaking of following the money and just sort of proving my point why he's not beloved, when it comes to endorsements, Federer is number one by far. You see him in commercials. You see him doing endorsements. You don't really see Joker doing as much as Federer. But when all is said and done and the dust is settled, this is that dude in the tennis game.
Yep.
Yeah, good for him. Fantastic to see what he's doing here. Let me see what's the next story. Rob, let's go to this Patriot Front. So, Vinny, why don't you tell us what's going on with this clip with Patriot Front, Thomas Russo and his crew?
Okay, and so as you guys know, Pat interviewed Pat. That's the head guy, right? The Russo
guy. The head guy, Thomas Russo. Yes.
Yeah, so the Patriot Front, they were in Nashville, and guys, this is the video. You tell me what kind of people show up in multiple U-Hauls, all wearing those overweight. Tom made this point. Pat, nobody's overweight. They're all wearing khakis. They're all organized. Okay.
Bro,
people are trying to say, well, we can't find out who these people are, where they are. You know, Pat, have you ever rented a U-Haul? You need your driver's license. You need your proof of residency, okay? This is all the clear markings of the feds. And just think of their name, Patriot Front. All right, the definition of front. Are you ready? A person or organization serving as a cover from subversive or illegal activities, okay? It's in the name, and I think this is, guys, this is obvious. Please do not fall for this. This is a way to make conservatives look like they're racist and they're dangerous. And these guys are clashing, bro. There was a clash where the Proud Boys were beating the shit out of them, and I loved it. Look, yep, and they're exposing, taking his mask off. Watch this. Can I take one of his masks? Yeah, these guys are there to cause this type of problem. This is them, and he tries to demask one of them. He that's their job, is to come, and the Proud Boys are just chilling, doing their thing, and these guys are paid. Look at them.
Yeah, but Vinny, let me ask you this, Rob. You can stop playing that clip.
Yeah.
So your understanding of this guy's group, the Patriot Front, led by Thomas Russo, is to show what? To show like, hey, these guys are really what the Republican Trump's MAGA base really looks like. That's what you think it is.
100%. Nothing like this just organically happens.
So I thought that as well, and that's why a lot of people said don't do it. I invited the founder to come on the podcast.
Yes.
And I had the guy on the podcast, Thomas Russo, who is very, very well spoken as a young guy. This guy's not going to go away. Very, very well spoken. And after 2 hours, one of the questions I asked him was, Rob, if you can pull up the clip of when I asked him about Trump, what his answer was about Trump. Because I was expecting him to talk about Trump's the greatest president of all time. And he's this, he's that, because that's what the Fed front, fake, Soros, all that story would have been. But here's his answer, Rob, if you can play this clip.
Trump. How do you feel about Trump?
I have a balanced opinion on Trump. I do not personally, overtly, or actively support him. I think the patriotic constituents in America, people who think like I do, are too easily brought in behind politicians who may overpromise and underdeliver. I think Trump is very unique in the political space. I think he has done a lot for the conservative movement. You see things being the norm in conservative politics that under Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich would have been unthinkable. So I think there is a value to that. I think the landscape has opened up.
Watch what he says.
But I don't personally support Trump. I think Trump has to do more.
Such as what? Like, what does he need to do?
I think his support for Israel is one thing in particular, and perhaps his favor of those Zionist politics is one of the biggest things that are perhaps holding Trump back from a true America First policy.
So you can pause it right now.
You're
Check
not
this out.
for him.
If he is really there representing the feds, and you were to have him give 7 answers to paint Trump as a specific type of a person, he wouldn't be presenting him as a Zionist, because he told that Trump supports Israel too much, right? He's not America First enough. He's split on Trump. Later on, I asked him, would you be voting for him? He says, I will not be voting for him. Okay. So think about that. Then by the way, can you pull up the Thomas Russo, Rob, to go to his Wikipedia and Patriot Front? I'm sure he's got a Wikipedia. If you can pull that up. And then I asked him questions. By the time it was done, Vinny,
yep,
I asked him about Candace Owens. I asked him about different people in America. I asked him, I said, can somebody like me apply to be part of your organization? He says, no, you're not white. So eventually I said, got it. Eventually I said, yeah, if you can just pull up, there it is, Patriot Front, founder right there, Thomas Rousseau. That's the guy that was on the pod. Young guy, well-spoken. This is the feeling I got from Liz. I think everybody who wants to know more about Patriot Front, go watch the interview with him first, because the feeling I got, and Rob will remember this is when he got a little bit upset. I said, the feeling I get from you is you're not America first. You're white first. Not America first, white first. And he says, no, I'm America first. I said, no. So in a perfect world, he wouldn't want me living in America. He would want Tom living in America. He wouldn't want you and I living in America. And Rob, you can chime in here on what the feeling you got, because you were there the entire time, Rob. Is it pretty, am I pretty aligned with what the impression we got from him for 2 hours? And tell me what your thoughts were.
Yeah, 100%. He very odd. The answers that he gave, he was very cautious. He thought about every answer before he responded. He was very calculated. So it seems the people that you watch in these videos with the same dressed khaki pants and the pressed iron shirts, and 30 of them getting out of the same U-Haul at the same time, it all seems very calculated, the same way he was very calculated in every single answer that he gave you.
And by the way, Vinny, when I asked him, I said, have you ever read Mein Kampf? Mein Kampf is a book that Hitler wrote. I've read the book. I said, have you ever read the book Mein Kampf? He says, no. I said, why not? He says, because I don't need to. I don't need to study his history. I said, I think you kind of need to study what his history is. I said, what can you tell me about the KKK? I've never in my life heard somebody give such a eloquent, detailed breakdown of the KKK and about David Duke, about the founder of KKK. You should see how he broke it down. So the feeling was that he liked a lot of the stuff. Again, my opinion, he liked a lot of the stuff that the KKK and David Duke were doing. Maybe some areas not enough, maybe some missed opportunities, but he is going more in the direction of what David and KKK did, except they don't have guns, they don't have weapons. So they don't go in that direction of how they recruit their people. Unique guy. But my feeling from listening to him is everything that somebody who would have been presented as a pro-Trump MAGA, hired by the feds, acting, all this stuff, I didn't get those vibes from the guy. I may be wrong, but those are.
Here's my thing. I think if you're a well-trained operative, if you are a Fed, and by the way, doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, and they tell you exactly how to act and what answers not to give, because he can't be blatantly obvious to me, my opinion, and be like, oh, I love Trump, and he's no. You have the person speak exactly how he was speaking with you, Pat. Just make it look like he's this person, and there's a deeper, bigger problem. Trump Israel, this and that. No. I think these people, that whole group, I mean, it's obvious when you see it. It looks like they all went to Kmart. They all got the same size khakis, same shirts. When they demasked one of these guys, Pat, I've never seen somebody try to cover up his face. They're all cleanly shaven. They all look like feds. And I think the mission is deeper. I think the mission is, if the left can't get what they want, they're going to have civil unrest, racial wars in the streets. They're already testing it. What are these guys just randomly keep
civil unrest? I see the civil unrest. I see that as a possibility. I asked him about the mask, and he gave the answer about the mask. Is many of these guys that are working, you know, they have careers. They don't want to ruin their careers. I'm like, how many of the people that you hire? What is your hire process? We went on his website, went through every single question they ask before they recruit people, and we broke it down. Why is that important to you? Who do you not hire? What is the typical background process? How many of the people that work for you were former feds? How many were former FBI? All these questions were asked from him. And I said, are these names public? Can people know who part of your members are and who is part of your community? And, you know, have you read the manifesto and the update? Anyways, there's a whole structure on how these guys do it. We'll see what's going to happen. The civil unrest, I fully agree. I mean, Rob, we can go to the next one here. Watch this next one here. A pro-Palestine group, Rob, if we can go to this, the pro-Palestine group is a video shows these guys. Let me go. It's just a video. There it is. Pro-Palestine protesters in New York City were seen burning an American flag in Washington Square Park on Independence Day, chanting, "Shut it down," and waving Palestinian flags during their flood for July 4th for Gaza rally, according to video footage posted by Olia Scootercaster. The protests included confrontations with bystanders, chants of "Free, Free Palestine," and the burning of a flag and flyer depicting former President Trump and Biden with the slogan "Death to all kings." Protesters then marched through Manhattan chanting "Revolution, Revolution," while holding flares and Palestinian flags. Protesters set off smoke bombs and flares to block views of celebrity fireworks. And while the exact number of arrests is unclear, multiple arrests were caught on camera as protesters shouted "Oink, oink, piggy, piggy" at NYPD officers. Rob, play this clip.
Fucking terrorists hate America! Fuck Israel! Fuck you! Leave the country, you hate America! Fuck you! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!
This bothers me watching this.
That pisses me off.
Yeah, this bothers me watching. Vinny, I'll go to you first. Your thoughts on this.
I mean, Pat, look where we're going. And yeah, great piggybacking off of the other one. It's civil unrest. It's election year. This is, I'm telling you right now, this is just the starting, like the starter pistol has gone off from the Patriot Front guys to these psychos. It's just ramping up. And I'm telling you right now, you said the first this next 100 and what is it, 20 days, PBD, till the election? You're going to see way more of this. You're going to see way more civil unrest. And the goal, this is my opinion, the goal is to have all these groups go insane. God forbid something bad happens from one of these crazy people, these migrants, these displaced people that are coming over the border. And one of the goals of these people, I think, is going to be to have martial law set impact, because I looked it up. If martial law happens during an election, the sitting president could remain in office. And they say there'll be a bunch of legality problems, and it's not like the left doesn't, control the courts and all the stuff that we're seeing with Trump. I think this is one of their tactics. If their cheating doesn't work, if this whatever's going to happen for them, because I know they're going to try to do it, because obviously we're seeing Trump as the front runner. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's going to win, unless something nefarious happens. But I think this is all just stoking. This is just more options for them to have to shut down the election if they can. That's my opinion. I don't think there's no way. And I've said this before, Pat. They cannot let Trump win. Full stop. They can't. They're gonna stop. The lawfare is not working. The Russia crap didn't happen. The impeachments don't happen. Nothing can stop this guy because it's all BS. What are they gonna do this time around? And it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, I just try to share. Kelly, Rob, are you guys preventing a page from being shared? I just put a link there. or if you guys are not looking at it, yeah. So this tells you how many days are left. 118, 13 hours, 5 minutes, and 43 seconds on how many days are left. But a part of this, when you're seeing this, you can stop sharing, guys. But maybe when we're doing these Zooms, if I'm doing it, just pay attention to it so we can kind of go through it faster, because it's about being timed as well. But when you're seeing stories like this, you know what it makes me think about? It makes me think about the following. One, is it legal to say death to kings? Is it legal in the streets of New York to say death to kings? We learned it's illegal in the streets of San Francisco for the LGBTQ to walk around with their danglings hanging out and kids seeing it. And the cop said that's legal unless if you masturbate. That was the cop saying it, a female cop. Everything else is okay in San Francisco if you're walking around naked, totally fine. So is it legal in New York for you to walk around and say death to kings and, do all this stuff? Is that legal to do that? That's okay? Yeah, so that's inciting violence. We did a podcast, one of the podcasts that we did, where one of the guests on the podcast made some claims that we just can't put it publicly, because the claim was about actually, Rob, I don't know what word to use. I don't even want to use the word to inciting violence is what the podcast was. And we had to cut it. We're like, yeah, we can't do that, right? Because that's something that is causing people that maybe they would want to take action. This is what the guy was encouraging the audience to do. That's the part that makes me uncomfortable. And then this is the last question I'll ask you guys. And this is to everybody. I don't care where you're at politically. I don't care where you're at faith-wise. I don't care what religion you're in. You pick and choose. Here's the question we all have to ask ourselves before some people get caught up in, the religions and backgrounds and all this other stuff. I get along with everybody. And I'll continue saying this. I get along with whites, blacks. I always have. You go ask anybody in high school that was friends with me or friends in the military. I get along with everybody. I get along with billionaires. I get along with regular average Joe guys. I get along with whites, Jews, blacks, you name it. Single, divorce, anything. I can have a civil conversation with anybody. But the question you got to ask yourself is, what country attracts the smartest, the brightest, the best talent, and allows the most different types of people to coexist?
United States.
A country ran by the religion of Islam, a country ran by religion of Judaism, a country ran by religion of Catholicism or Christianity. Which one attracts the most wide range? Which one? Does Sharia law attract people to move there and want to live in a community like that? Does it? And I know a lot of people fall there. And when Adam and I were talking, and he brought up Israel and Jews and Muslims and all this stuff, and he says, so Pat, what do you think about, what's going on with Muslims and Christians and Jews? And this is how I broke down the concept of the criticism Zionists and Jews and all these guys are getting. First of all, I'm a Syrian. Vinny, you're a Syrian. Our community is very much, what's the word I'm looking at? Is it factions like, the church community, political community, the club community, the rich community, the Iraq Syrian,
segregated, very segregated. Yeah.
All these different guys, and they're all competing against each other, right? Yeah. And Armenians, Lebanese Armenian, Barskahai, Yerevansi, Lambda, all these different things that they have, right? Guess how Jews are. Jews are Jews. They're united. They're, for the most part, aligned with each other and protective of each other, right? For the most part. Not everybody, but for the most part. Okay. I'd love Assyrians to be that united. I would love Assyrians to be that driven and ambitious, where they make it in such high level of political influences that we can get our land back. I'd love it if we can get some land in the middle of Iraq and a small little Syrian country gets started. And how many people live in Israel right now? What's the total population in Israel? Couple million?
It's about 10 million.
Okay, 10 million. I'd love 10 million. We don't even have 10 million, but I'd love 2 million Assyrians to be living in a Nineveh or somewhere where we get our land back and all the old, historic figures. I'd love that. But we don't have that. Why? Because everybody is kind of divided, right? So we can criticize as much as we want, 9.558 million. We can criticize as much as we want. And then Israel, guess what? Who else has the ability to say, I want to move up and control an industry? Who can say that? Who can do that? Whites can do that. Blacks can do that. Armenians can do that. Persians can do that. Assyrians can do that. Hispanics can do that. Jews can do that. Oh, but Jews did. So what do Jews have that others didn't have? What did they have that others didn't have? What did they have to come up from? Well, even if you go back and if you think about it, they had this and they had that and they had this. Okay. But you think the market's just going to allow anybody to come in and take over Hollywood and entertainment industry? No. It's called dry fire and, being a little bit more frugal with their money to finally eventually have a vision that they're collectively united on. And then boom, they're running entertainment, they're running music, they're running this, they're running that. And by the way, we're the last group that doesn't criticize these guys. I had Maya the other day on the group, the old rapper, Paper Planes, and her ex used to be Benjamin Bronfman, whose father is Edward Bronfman or Edgar Bronfman, who's a multi-billionaire who ran WMG, who God knows how much influence he has over the music industry, but they moved up. Why don't Assyrians do it? Why don't Hispanics do it? Why don't Armenians do it? Why don't blacks do it? Why don't you do it? Hey, a lot of NBAs ran by blacks nowadays, player-wise. Why don't some of these NBA players start saying, let's start buying up teams? Why don't we own 60% of the NBA teams? Do it. That's a good vision, right? What if one day the NBA is led and controlled by a majority of black owners? Awesome. Good for you. It's a vision. We did it. Respect, right? Now, here's the other side, though, where, the Israeli and the Jewish community can get all the criticism they deserve. Here's the part. Weinstein last name. What kind of a last name is it?
Jewish.
Okay. How about if we go to, what else we got? Epstein. What kind of a last name is it?
Jewish.
How about if we go to, I don't know, Bronfman? How about if we'll go to, how many names can I give you? So many of them. So then this is what takes place. Once you get power, influence, and money, now how to use that power, influence, and money. Criticize that all day long. So when I asked Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and I said, do you think your brother was part of Mossad? I've never had any recollection that he would be a part of Mossad. Oh, really? Yes. I said, let's just say your brother, and there's a clip, Rob. I don't know if you, even if you can pull it up. I don't know if you can pull it up. You should be able to pull it up. It's somewhere out there where it's like, let's just say your brother had influence and he had these videotapes where he invited all these rich billionaires and political leaders from around the world, Andrew, Clinton, Bush, whoever these people, I'm just making up names, but I know Bush and I know Clinton and Andrew was there. What would happen if he had videotapes of all these billionaires, of all these political people having sex with an underage girl? How valuable would that be to Israel and to Mossad? And he said, well, if we're here to speculate, that would be very valuable. I said, and how much could he get done if he did have things like that? Oh, you can do a lot of stuff with that. Now we can speculate. So if you have all the power now and you use that power to abuse like Weinstein, you use that power to abuse like Epstein, you use that power to destroy people's lives, now you deserve all the heat because you didn't know how to handle all the success and the money and the power. Now we can criticize. But we should be able to entertain both ideas on one end to say, why can't my community go out there and be able to influence an industry? And at the same time and say, and if we get that kind of power, let's make sure we're not bullies, because that's the bully part that happens, right? So this is the part where, what community would you want to live? Would you live in a community and have your kids, if 100% of people in that community are Muslims and they're burning flags like this? Let's just say they did. Would you feel safe in that community? Would you feel safe in a community like Boca Raton where majority of people are Jewish? Would you feel safe living in Beverly Hills where a lot of people are Persian and Armenians? Would you feel safe living in a community where majority are Christians? Would you feel safe living in Bountiful or, I don't know, St. George or Salt Lake City where 41% are Mormons? Which one of these communities would you feel safe raising your kids in? then you have to legitimately ask the question, why and why not? So then when you do say that and you see the burning of the flags, the moment you burn flags, how often you see legitimate Christians burning American flags? I don't see it.
No.
How often you see Catholics burning flags? How often you see Jews burning flags? How often you see Mormons burning flags? How often you see Scientologists burning flags? How often do you even see atheists? I'm sure it's out there, but how often you see that burning flags? No. Why is it that when it comes down to burning flags, Muslims are involved? Why? Why is that involved? And by the way, there is no benefit I get from asking this question, because 50 YouTube channels are going to respond to this and try to trash me and saying Patrick's a Zionist or Patrick's a this and Patrick's a that. None of that stuff bothers me when you do that. None of it. Because while I'm saying that, I get 50 other emails from people in the Jewish community saying, you don't know what you're talking about and you're such a this. I don't make any friends when I take this position. There is no benefit to me financially, in no way, even emotionally, to make new friends when I take this position. There's no benefit to me. Not financially, not business mind, not economically, not political influence. Because one side, regardless, both sides say, screw this guy. I don't like what he says right there. Totally get it. But that's my position. But when I draw the line, if you choose to burn the flag that has done so much good for the world, not saying it hasn't bullied other people, and not saying we don't have a stuff that we've done that's challenged other people as well. You talk about burning that flag in other countries, I already don't like it. But you talk about burning that flag in our country, no wonder $1 trillion of assets under management has left New York in the last 4 years. No wonder $1 trillion of assets under management has left California. And no wonder the top 2 stock markets in the freaking world are New York Stock Exchange, number 1, and number 2 is NASDAQ. Guess what's the next stock exchange being opened up? Texas Stock Exchange. No wonder that's happening, because of all these dumb and ridiculous policies you come up with that you don't have the backbone to stand up and say, burn the American flag one more time. Burn it one more time, see what we do to you. Go ahead and burn it. You put these January 6 people in jail. What are you going to do to these people that burn the flags? You're going to give them 20 years in jail. Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to be like, let's be tolerant? What's wrong? They're just expressing themselves. That's not inciting violence? Yeah, and there's got to be a certain area where the left and the right have to be unified on, and burning the flag is not a Republican thing. Burning the flag should be an American thing. That is a felony. You're out. Go to jail. Let's go. Get right in there. When am I getting out? Not for a long ass time. Hey, go tell everybody in the world, you get 20 years in America if you burn the American flag. Do it again. Do it one more time. 20 years. Burn the flag one more time and say death upon our leaders. Do it one more time. See what happens. 20 years in jail. Go ahead. Oh, that's unfair. Bullshit, that's unfair. That's fair. Have respect for the country that's giving you the opportunity that you got today. So I understand that guy that had the Yankee song screaming at them, you don't like this place, get the hell out of here. I think a lot of people feel that way. Adam, your thoughts, and we'll skip to the next story.
Yeah, death to America, right? Death to America. Let that sink in for a second. You know, when I see people burning the flag, it sickens me. It actually repulses me. And who are these people that are comfortable saying this? So, you know, I say you choose your enemy wisely. The extremists, the radicals, the fanatics, the fundamentalists. This to me is the enemy of America. This is my enemy. You know, I'm a pretty moderate, rational dude. I try to see things on both sides. This is the biggest problem with America. So who are these people? Let's unpack this for a second. There's 2 types of people that fit into this camp, death to America. So there's the Middle Eastern people who, for the most part, unless you're in Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, which they do there. Pat, you've talked about this. How do they say it? Amba America. How do you say it?
Magba
America. Sorry, my Persian ain't what it used to be. But in America or in the West, it's Middle Easterns, Muslims who have fled the Middle East for the West, who are trying to change Western values. And then the other part of it is it's Westerners, Americans, woke Westerners in America, in France, in England, in Netherlands, across the world, who have never visited the Middle East and have no clue what it's like. The Gays for Gaza Brigade. So we talked about the horseshoe theory before, the strange bedfellows of the Islamists on the far right, the fundamentalists, and then also the Marxists on the far left. Like, what do they have in common? So it comes down to being fanaticals and extremists. So what's happening right now, I've said this before on the podcast, where Jews, they're just sort of the canary in the coal mine. They're a bellwether for what's going on in the world. So the far right, typically white nationalists, to bring it back to the, what was it called? The Patriot Front?
Patriot Front.
Okay.
Front.
So, and then the far left, you know, we've always known the far right, the fascists, the Nazis, were the KKK, the neo-Nazis, no fan of the others, right? The Jews. Whereas the far left, we weren't really sure what's going on here. But now what I've said in the podcast is Jews are sort of politically homeless. So the far right, we know what they stand for. The far left, they're being exposed. So bring it back to that guy. Is Trump in bed with the Zionists, or is Trump Hitler? Yeah, I hear it all. Which right, Vinny? Which one is it?
You're right. You're right.
If you want to take a deeper a step back from America for a second, you see what's going on in Europe. You see that they have a new prime minister in England. You talked about who this new mayor is.
The mayor of Brighton, England, Mohammed Azzaduzman, and they were in the street. Freaking you wouldn't be able to tell it was a city in England. You would think, like Pat said, it was Iran or Pakistan or somewhere.
They're bringing Sharia law to the UK. You see what's going on in France. By the way, do you know what's happened in France? Do you understand they just had an election? You know, in 2024, 40% of the world is having elections. This is in the UK, by the way.
By the way, that's in Brighton. Look at, they have knives in their hand, bro. For a second, where do you think that is off the top of your head? That's not in the Middle East, bro. That's in England.
This is coming to a town near you. So this is why you got the guy who's running for prime minister of the Netherlands. I forget his name, with the blonde hair. These guys are isolationists. They're basically saying no mas. It's not what's happening here. You see what's going on in France. Do you know that the Jerusalem Post just wrote an article saying, hey, Jews, it's time to leave France. What? France has, behind the United States, behind Israel, United States, France has one of the top populations of Jews in the world. Germany, UK, Canada. You know, he said it's time to leave because do you know that Jews were forced to vote for Marine Le Pen's far-right party? Yeah, Lieberman calls on French Jews to flee Israel after far-left victory. But Marine Le Pen, who has traditionally been almost like a Nazi-esque type party in France, the Jews were forced to vote for them. It's sort of the Patriot Front of France, because the far left has been so extreme with this. But what's my point? It's not just, and I don't want to make this about, well, Muslims are bad. It's a certain type of mentality. So it's, you know, Sunni versus Shia PBD. We've talked about this before. Do you know that Saudi is in the process of having an agreement with Israel? Israel's already has agreements with Jordan, with Egypt, with Sudan, with Bahrain, with the UAE. This is sort of the first world democratic, almost minded step into reality, modernity, Arab world versus the people who are fundamentalists living in the past and are really, really ready to have death to America, death to Israel, anyone that has Judeo-Christian Western values. So we're going to see how it plays out, but it's about to get real ugly.
But by the way, have you, Tom, I just looked up right now, what states is it illegal to burn a flag? And if you look it up, currently flag burning is not illegal in the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States, in its decision from 1969, has ruled that burning of the flag is protected by the First Amendment. And even people were asking the question, the New York state laws question made it illegal to mutilate the face or cast contempt either by words or act on the U.S. flag. But, you know, for the most part, even recently, in November, there was a ruling where the Supreme Court voted no, burning the flag is not illegal. It's not a felony. And the Johnson 491 U.S. 397 is a landmark decision by the Supreme Court of U.S. in which court held 5-4 that the burning of the flag, 1989, who was president? Reagan was president in 89, right? So in 1989, Supreme Court, I'd love to know what the side of the Supreme Court was. 89 is Bush or 89 is Bush. You're right.
Yeah.
That burning of the U.S. flag was protected speech under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, as doing so counts as symbolic speech and political speech. And this was the Texas versus Johnson. Activist Gregory Lee Johnson. Rob, I don't know if you have this up or not for the audience to see. Gregory Lee Johnson was convicted for burning an American flag during a protest in 1984 Republican National Convention in Dallas, was fined $2,000 and sentenced to 1 year in jail in accordance to the Texas law. Justice William Brennan wrote for the 5-justice majority that Johnson's flag burning was protected under freedom of speech. The ruling invalidated prohibitions of desecrating the American flag, which at the time was enforced by 48 out of 50 laws. The ruling was unpopular with the general public and lawmakers, and President Bush, calling flag burning dead wrong. The ruling was challenged by Congress, which passed the Flag Protection Act later that year, making flag desecration a federal crime. So I don't know.
But PBD, if you think about it, Pat, in New York, this happened in New York, right? New York State Environmental Conservation Law, Section 215, prohibits the open burning of open household trash or other materials in public. Just setting a fire to anything in public is illegal. You can't just start a freaking fire, even if it's something small. You're burning something, it's environment, and then local ordinance cites that New York City have additional regulations that restrict open fires and requires permits from the fire department. I don't think these people have permits just to burn anything. God forbid that fire somehow, because there was one time where it hit a guy's shirt and his shirt caught on fire. If that causes a death, then they're going to have a whole lot of litany of freaking problems on their head. So besides the flag, it's illegal to do it. You shouldn't be burning shit in public regardless unless you have a permit, and they're just doing it willy-nilly. So.
And to bring this back to Trump for a second, and I want to get Tom's thoughts as well, so I'll be quick. You remember in the debate, Trump versus Biden, do you remember what happened when the Israel part came out when Trump said to speak? Trump unequivocally said, yeah, I stand with the democracy, Israel, who isn't shouting death to America. And what did he say to Biden? He goes, this guy's basically a Palestinian, but not the good kind, because they'll kill him too.
Yeah.
And he called him out right there. And he said, by the way, why is this all happening? Because Biden gave how many $billion, $6 billion, $10 billion to the Islamic Republic of Iran so they can sow chaos all over the Middle East and all over the world? So thank you, Joe Biden, for giving them and providing them the aid to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels the United States Navy is now fighting in the Red Sea. Yeah, is this the clip? Go ahead.
Play the clip, Rob.
As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
By the way, check this out. Check this out. So I'm actually more curious now the more I'm looking into this. Watch this. So this is, I'm sharing the screen, Rob, just so you know. Okay. Here is, let me go to the page so I can zoom in. Can you guys see it, or is it too small?
A little bit too small.
Okay, how about now?
I can see it.
Flag desecration by countries. In which countries it's legal and which countries it's not. Flag desecration legal? No, you can't do it. 5 to 10 year imprisonment, Algeria. Wow. Argentina, 4 years. Australia is okay. Austria, no, 6 months. Belgium is fine. Brazil and Bulgaria, you cannot do it, right? Canada, it's legal. Chile, China, Croatia, no, up to 3 years in jail. Even in Croatia, 1 year in jail. Denmark, Egypt, Ethiopia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, India, Indonesia, Iran, no. Okay, fine up to $30,000, 2 years in jail, 6 months in jail, 3 years in jail, 1 year in jail, 5 years in jail. Ireland, fine. Israel and Italy, 2 years in jail in Italy, 3 years in Israel. Japan, yes. Kazakhstan, Borat will be furious with this 2 years imprisonment. Lithuania, South Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, no. Netherlands is fine. New Zealand, no. $5,000 fine. Norway is fine. Pakistan, no. Philippines, Poland, no. Romania is fine. Russia, 1 year jail. Samoa, 6 months. Saudi Arabia, 1 year. Singapore, 6 months. South Africa, Spain, no imprisonment. Sweden, Switzerland's fine. Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, Ukraine. Ukraine, you go 3 years in jail.
Turkey, 18 years, Turkey.
18 years in jail. UK and US is fine. I don't know.
Straight to jail.
I have a hard time with this. I have a very hard time with this whole concept of it being okay. Because in a way, you have to be thinking about it like, you know, freedom of speech is one thing, but what does it mean when someone in your country burns your flag? What is the meaning of that? What is the definition of? So what does this mean? There's 2 words, right? What this means, right? Yep. What does this mean?
Peace.
What does this mean?
West side.
What does this mean, right? East. I can go on and on with all these.
You know a little too many of these.
What does this mean, right? What does this mean? All of these things have a meaning, right?
Yes.
What does this mean? I can go do all these different. Everything has a meaning. What does it mean when you burn the flag? What is the definition of burn the flag?
That the country that the flag represents is the enemy to you. You hate them and you want them to fail and be destroyed because the symbolism is you're destroying the flag that represents the country. You want the country to be destroyed. And if they're here on this land, to me, they're our enemy. That's my opinion.
What did KKK burn? What did KKK burn?
A cross.
What is burning a cross in America? I'm now very curious when sent to federal hate crime. The cross burning was an important act that used a traditional symbol of hatred. Mississippi man sentenced for federal hate crime for burning of the cross, and he had to pay $7,800. Okay, let me pull this up to you guys for you to see us and share the screen. Hang on 1 second, Rob. So let's go to this. Boom. I think this is it. Let me see if this is it. Let me know if you guys see it or not. Do you see it, something Mississippi or no?
Yep.
Can you guys see it? Okay, so watch this. The cross burning was an abhorrent act that used a traditional symbol of hatred and violence to stoke fear and drive a black family out of their home, said Assistant General Kristen Clark. While one might think cross burning and white supremacist threats and violence are things of the past, the unfortunate reality is that these incidents continue today. The sentence them. So let me get this straight. Why? So here, the burning of a cross is an act used as a symbol of hatred and violence to stoke fear and drive black families out of their homes. Is what? Symbol of hatred and violence to stoke fear. A symbol. It's an act used. Okay. So for me, if I'm a lawyer, I'm bringing that in. What's the difference between a cross and a flag? Matter of fact, if we even want to say separate church versus state, it should be more, you know what I'm saying? Like for someone to say, well, that's a religion. It is what it is. You know, we have freedom of religion. But I'm sorry, burning the American flag, I'm not okay with either one of them because both of them is inciting violence and hate. Do I want that in my country? Yeah,
This is exactly the point. So the Supreme Court can go into a calm courtroom and say, we have the First Amendment. We have free speech here. What does free speech mean? In a quiet courtroom, they say, well, I suppose you burn the flag, so you don't like the president. You don't like that he's sending your kids off to be drafted into Vietnam. So you burn. That's where those flag burning precedents, Johnson versus U.S., that's where that happened. So, well, you know, they're protesting against the Vietnam War, against leadership. And so a very calm, measured, analytical processing Supreme Court can say, well, then I suppose that's freedom of speech. However, you just brought up the 2 points. What it really means is renouncement and rejection. And if you want to renounce and reject the United States, then, okay, are you renouncing and rejecting that? So you don't get, so guess what? All these rights and everything as a citizen, pick your country. You're free to go. Go. Number one. So if you don't want to be here, go. And why are you here? Why are you getting all the benefits of a citizen who may not like the government, but that's why we vote. That's why we peacefully assemble and protest. We can do all that. We have freedom of speech. We can do that. We can have a giant group of people, and on the Lincoln Memorial, you can say, I have a dream because I want to see more racial equality in general without DEI. Just see us accept one another. You can do that. But when you burn the flag and you renounce the very thing that's protecting you and giving you citizens' rights, I have a problem. And I think the Supreme Court errs when they apply these things to freedom of speech, because it's not. This is renouncement and rejection. And I think it's an error in judgment, which is why the states took it up away from the federal government. And all of the states were saying, sorry, federal government, if you're here in Iowa and you burn the flag, you got a problem with us because we run Iowa. That's where the state stepped in, and then the federal government stepped in. The other side of this, it's going, you're on a slippery slope with hate crime, because now the Supreme Court is going to have to decide at some point, wait a minute, if burning a cross in the front yard of people, which is horrible, it means that we're here to kill you. The burning of the cross not advanced, but burning of the cross was it's like nothing good happened in that neighborhood after the burning of a cross, and people were lynched in horrible chapter. So, but if all these things are now hate crime, that's a hate crime, that's a hate crime, that's a hate crime. Well, then what, isn't the burning of the flag a hate crime? I, as a citizen, am incensed, and I am worried about the people that would wave knives in public, gather around and chant, and then burn a flag. Where are you protecting me? So I think the hate crime is a slippery slope, and I think the states had it right, because the states were pointing out, peacefully assemble, be upset at the president, have a demonstration, rally people to vote and make change. However, you're going to renounce the very thing that gives you the right to do that? No.
So, Tom, are you for burning of the flag being in the category of freedom of speech?
Currently, the price of freedom of speech is free speech. That's the price. But I am not okay with the burning of the flag in the demonstration and renouncement of the very set of principles that give you freedom.
A little bit more specifically. If you're a governor of a state, would you make burning of a flag a misdemeanor, a felony, or it's okay if they do it?
Can't do it now, but I can't do it now because of the Supreme Court thing. But if I was a governor before the Johnson decision, I would have proudly pricked my thumb and signed in blood that it's a felony to burn the flag here. Have any other kind of demonstration and political rally you want, but you burn the flag that gives you the right to have that political rally, gives you the right to say I'm against the draft, gives you the right to say I want to change Tom Ellsworth, the governor, I want to vote against him. You can't burn that flag. I'll sign it in blood. But you can have your peaceful free speech demonstration to make your point. I'll defend free speech with the blood of my other thumb. But you're not gonna reject the very set of principles that gives you the life you have.
Yeah,
sorry.
And by the way, I'm not even for burning any flag in America. Like I'm not for burning the Russian flag. I'm not for burning the Chinese. I'm not for burning any of the flags. I'm just not for it. And you know what's funny though? Not really funny. So 5,400 people voted in the last 20 minutes for should prosecutors burning the American flag be sentenced to jail. A third said no. 34% said no. 66% said yes. And our audience, for 34% to say no, a big chunk of that, these are reasonable people. Why would their argument be for it not to be not to be sentenced to jail? I would be very curious to know, because for me, I think anytime that video is shown, it inspires people who are not someone that's maybe knows the entire story for emotionally to be inspired to do the same. It doesn't produce the right type of behavior. Like a lot of times when these guys are being asked during protests and they're like, so you said free Palestine. Yes. Gays for Gaza. Yes. What does that mean to you, free Palestine? I don't know, Mary. What does it mean to you? Honestly, I don't even know why we're here for protesting.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. River to the sea.
Yeah. So to me, it brings those people, and sometimes the people that do dumb things are the people that have no clue what the hell is going on. They're just coming because it's like, hey, you ever seen the study that they did? They hired 50 people, focus group, for 3 hours to stand around a bookstore. And they paid them $100, whatever the amount was, for 3 hours for you to stand next to a bookstore, line outside of a bookstore. And for 3 hours, you have to do that. By the end of the 3 hours, there was 300 people standing in line. And they asked them, they said, so they went and interviewed the other 250 people. Why are you in line? Oh, I'm assuming I'm going to get a signed copy of a book, or if 50 people are standing here, I'm assuming there's something that's going to be given away. So I'm interested as well. So let me get this straight. You have no idea I have no idea what's going on here, but I'm in line. See, the 250 fell for the 50 because if 50 people are doing it, must be a good idea. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll leave it at that for what it is. Gang, we covered a lot of different stories. It is 11:30. Maybe we will do this again sometime. I know we're going to do this at least once a week, but if another story comes about, we'll do another podcast as well on this, since everybody is out of town. And Adam's got some stuff he's going to be doing. So Adam will be out of commission for Adam, roughly 2 weeks, I'm assuming, right? That you'll be out of commission.
I'll be out of town for at least a week, and then maybe 2. We'll see.
Right. So he'll be out of town. And he's not going to Gaza, by the way, for some of you guys, if he's going to Palestine.
But the gates for Gaza, if they want to come with me, Vinny's accepting applications.
Gang, for those of you guys that want to join us on this Dennis Quaid, the Reagan movie premiere, if you want to watch it with us before anybody else sees it, again, go get your tickets. Come down, bring your family. Let's enjoy together watching a movie. And then afterwards, we're learning about some call him one of the greatest presidents of all time, Ronald Reagan. Many have this guy in their houses, in their offices, a picture or painting of Reagan. Let's watch this thing together, and then bring your friends, bring your family. And then at the same time, for those of you that want to go afterwards and take a picture, maybe have a cigar with us in our cigar lounge. This would be one of the late night ones, which means typically when we do it on a Friday night, we stay even later. Get your VIP tickets, go to the QR code, or go to 5990live.com. Book your tickets before they sell out. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.